Chapter 581. C582 The Pretentious Old Man. Zai's Immortal. There are many masters and strong men here, and it is said that its overall strength is second only to the Middle-earth Immortal. Beyond Great Domain, Tianchong Mountains, with undulating mountains and immortal air, the vast mountains surround a wide river like a silver jade belt. The river makes a sound, the water surface is sparkling, and it is very pleasing to the eye under the sunlight. On the riverside, an elegant old man dressed as a scholar, holding a fishing rod made of bamboo pole, is fishing quietly. Suddenly, he swung his arm, and a big fish like a whale with a horn on its forehead jumped out of the water, still biting the hook in its mouth, and a pair of millstone-like fish eyes were round, revealing a confused meaning. Because it never expected that it would be caught by an ant-like tiny human old man. "It's you." Kanglang Jun raised his hand and made a gesture, and countless water arrows burst out from the water surface, all shooting towards the big fish. "Human race, don't even think about it." The big fish with a horn on its forehead was angry, struggling desperately to swing its body, and its scales all over its body released white light, as if it was indestructible. The cultivation of the unicorn fish is at the level of the immortal king, and it can be regarded as a hegemon in the local river area. It's a pity that it met an immortal emperor. Puff puff puff. Countless tiny water arrows pierced through the body of the unicorn fish, and blood immediately flowed, dyeing the water surface red. "Collect," Kanglang Jun shouted, and the dying unicorn fish, like a whale, shrank rapidly, and finally became the size of a palm, and was thrown into the fish basket beside him. In the fish basket, all the nearby river overlords, whether fish, shrimps or crabs, were staying inside. Kanglang Jun glanced at the seafood in the fish basket and said with a wry smile, "That's all. It's enough for Senior Yi to eat." No kidding, the higher the cultivation level, the bigger the appetite, not to mention Yi Junlin, who is now at the level of Immortal Emperor. The seafood in the fish basket can only satisfy his appetite a little, just to have a bite or something. Ah, this job of serving people is really not easy to do. I hope to find Bai Xiaoyu soon. With her cooking skills, one person can do 100,000 old men. Thinking of Bai Xiaoxi, Kanglang Jun couldn't help but sigh. Then, the old man carried the fish basket and prepared to change his position to continue fishing. It seems that he intends to catch all the river overlords of the entire mountain range in one fell swoop. He thinks it would be more appropriate to go back and report like this. Just then, a noisy sound came from behind. "Stop, you two little bastards, you dared to run away when I wasn't paying attention. If I catch you, I will skin you two as dogs. Hurry up and catch up, don't let these two little bastards run away." "Yes, Lord Hong." Kanglang Jun raised his eyebrows and released the Immortal Emperor level consciousness to sweep. "I saw a pair of dusty brother and sister, panting and running away, with tattered clothes on their bodies, like beggars. It is worth noting that this brother and sister both have dog noses and dog ears. At this time, they looked panicked and desperate. From time to time, they looked back, fearing that they would be caught up by the group of people behind them. The leader was a man in blue with a long braid, holding a shiny big knife in his hand. The blade was stained with blood, his eyes were fierce and angry, and he wished to skin the brother and sister alive. "Brother, leave me and go quickly, don't worry about me." The girl's face became paler and sweat dripped down. "Little sister, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I abandon you?" The boy with a simple appearance noticed his sister's abnormality, and saw blood on the ground behind her. He was like being struck by lightning, and tears flowed like a spring. He realized that his sister was already at the end of her strength, dragging her seriously injured body to hold on. "Brother, please go quickly, please." "Impossible, I won't abandon you." The boy suppressed his grief, carried his sister on his back despite her objection, and then ran forward desperately. His dog nose could smell the scent of a human in the distance. He wanted to change direction temporarily, but there was a dead end on both sides. Only by moving forward could he have a glimmer of hope. "Two little beasts, you can't escape," the braided man said sternly. "Grandpa, please get out of the way," the young man begged when he saw Kanglang Jun standing on the river bank. "Hey, old man, help us stop these two little beasts, or you will be in trouble," the man with braids threatened. As soon as this was said, Kanglang Jun was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. "Originally, I just wanted to be a fisherman quietly, but you forced me to meddle in other people's business. Slap your mouth for being rude." Immediately, Kanglang Jun slapped him in the air, and the man with braids hundreds of meters away was slapped in the face. He screamed and flew backwards and fell to the ground, blood foam splashing everywhere. So powerful, the young man was shocked. The man with braids chasing him was at least a strong man at the level of a mortal king. Unexpectedly, he was slapped and flew away like this. Child, don't be afraid, I can ensure that you are safe. Kanglang Jun flashed in front of the young man, touched his head, and said gently. Thank you very much, old senior. The young man was excited. In his eyes, this elegant old man looked like a hermit, and his words convinced him. Master Hong, how are you? A group of subordinates were so scared that they dared not come forward, so they had to run to check on the pigtail man. Ouch! The man with braids gasped in pain, half of his face was horrible. When he looked at the old man again, his eyes were filled with fear and anger. To be able to slap him away, he must be at least an immortal emperor. Old senior, I was so offended just now. I accept your teaching. The man with braids had a sinister look on his face and said softly, but he changed the subject and continued, but this matter has nothing to do with you. I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Kanglang Jun raised his chin, what if I have to intervene? The man with braids sneered, that means you are going against my Tianshui Han family. Do you dare to offend a contemporary imperial family because of these two lowly little beasts? Imperial family? Kanglang Jun was stunned. There is only one reason why a family dares to call itself an imperial family, and that is that there must be at least one living immortal emperor in this family. In other words, this Han family is protected by an immortal emperor. Oh no, seeing this scene, the young man's face was ashen. He didn't think that this strange old senior would offend a contemporary imperial family for him and his sister. Moreover, the name of the Tianshui Han family is well known throughout the Zai's immortal realm. Thinking of this, the young man who had abandoned his fantasy was about to take advantage of the situation to leave with his sister on his back, but a big hand pressed his shoulder, making it difficult for him to move. Old senior, you, the young man raised his head in despair, thinking that the other party was going to arrest him to report. Unexpectedly, Kanglang Jun smiled disdainfully, shook his sleeves and said in a very impressive manner. Humph, what about the imperial family? I'm not bragging to you, even the head of a certain imperial family had to call me grandpa affectionately when he met me before. The voice was sonorous and powerful, as if stating an indisputable fact. Hearing this, everyone stared with wide eyes and stood there in a daze. What, even the head of the imperial family calls you grandpa when he sees you? This is really a big boast. How dare you say anything? The young man lowered his head, blushing, and couldn't help but feel ashamed for this old senior. This old man is so thick-skinned. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 582. C583 Lord Kanglang. I really am not bragging. Apparently, everyone present did not believe what Mr. Kanglang said and regarded him as an arrogant and bragging old man. After all, to be called the lord of the imperial clan, one must be an unparalleled immortal emperor. Looking at the entire immortal world, there are more than hundreds of millions of monks. But how many powerful people can reach the realm of immortal emperor? All of them are super giants in the immortal world, big shots with extraordinary abilities. Now, there is an old man who brazenly declares that even the leader of the imperial clan will call him grandpa affectionately when he sees him. Isn't this bragging? The braided man sneered. Old senior, if you say this, I'm afraid it will lead to death, so you'd better take it easy. At first, he was a little suspicious of Lord Kanglang's identity, but after hearing these words, this suspicion disappeared and was replaced by deep disdain and contempt. A person who dares to say such nonsense is definitely a bastard with no background. Because only a bastard can speak freely and be full of lies. Old senior, thank you for your help just now. Now let me take my sister away, so I won't burden you with this. The young man asked with pure eyes. He was very grateful to the old man for his generous action. Although he was a bit thick-skinned and liked to brag, he helped him after all, and he was not willing to implicate the other party because of this matter. Kanglangjun looked depressed. No, I thought to myself that I was right. Why don't you believe it? The ancestor of the Li imperial clan in the northern Han immortal territory today, Li Ruotong, is my granddaughter. Do you really have to call me grandpa when you meet me? There's nothing wrong with that, right? Humph, believe it or not. Lord Kanglang was so angry that he brushed down his sleeves and said with a dark face. Old senior, I advise you to stop it in moderation. As long as you don't interfere in this matter, then forget about your slap in the face. If not, if you offend my Tianshui Han family, you will die without a burial place. The braided man said in a threatening tone. Do you think I'm scared? Get out of here. Lord Kanglang smiled contemptuously and waved his hand casually, as if he was driving away flies, but it produced terrifying fluctuations like huge waves. Ah! The braided man and the others suddenly felt a surging pressure coming from ahead, and were instantly knocked hard and flew away, smashing countless thick ancient trees along the way, and finally fell under the cliff, their life or death uncertain. See this situation. The young man looked shocked and seemed to have not yet reacted. He really didn't expect that this boastful old man would dare to offend the Tianshui Han family. Child, don't be afraid, you and your sister are out of danger. Kanglang Jun looked at this young man who looked like a beggar and said with a kind face. Thank you, old man, for saving your life. The boy's eyes were red and he choked. My mother was right, there are still good people in this world. Little sister, why don't you thank the senior for saving us? Realizing that the sister behind him was silent, the boy subconsciously turned his head and said something, only to find that his sister's face was pale, her eyes were closed, her head was tilted and she was leaning on his back, and there was no movement. Seeing this, the young man became panicked and cried, Little sister, wake up, little sister, don't scare my brother. Put her down and let me take a look. Lord Kanglang said out of good intentions. Old senior, please save my sister, please. The young man was so anxious that he seemed to be grasping the last life-saving straw. After putting his sister away, he knelt down and kowtowed to the old man, his voice said with a cry. Don't worry. Lord Kanglang stretched out his hand, and a soft light emitted from his palm, shining on the girl's wound. The bleeding stopped, but the injury did not improve. This knife wound was extremely deep and had already damaged her immortality. In addition, she was bleeding too much from the front and her vitality was extremely weak. Even if the immortal lord took action, he would be unable to recover and could only watch her wait for death. Kanglang Jun sighed. Hey, it's a pity that I can't save her. Hearing this was like a thunderbolt from the blue. The young man's lips trembled and 2 lines of tears fell down his face. His heart felt like it had been stabbed by countless sharp swords, and it was so bloody that it made it difficult for him to breathe. Little sister, wake up, you can't die. We agreed to return to the clan alive together. The young man looked extremely sad and knelt beside his sister, crying. My child, if you can trust me, come with me. Someone can save your sister. Mr. Kanglang couldn't bear it. When the young man heard this, he quickly said, I beg the senior to lead the way, the junior is willing to trade one life for another. Haha, that's not necessary. Lord Kanglang didn't say much. He released a sky-blue light ball from his palm, enveloped the 3 of them, and then shuttled through the mountains and forests at a speed like lightning. Soon, the light group landed on another mountain and then dispersed. Xiao Dezi, I asked you to buy some seafood nearby to eat, but you brought 2 more children here. What are you doing? Yi Junlin, who was resting on the recliner, felt out of breath. Kanglang Jun said with an apologetic smile, Senior Yi, something happened to me. This little girl was seriously injured and her life was in danger. I just wanted to let the little black Taoist friend take care of her. The boy's pupils trembled. In his opinion, this old man was the most outstanding person in the world, but he ended up addressing a silver-haired young man in his 20s as senior, in a very respectful manner. The status gap between the 2 sides is clear at a glance. Oh, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows slightly, and he could see at a glance that the unconscious little girl was indeed on the verge of death. Xiao He, go and help. Yes, master. The big mushroom king is committed to saving lives and healing the wounded, so he does not reject this kind of work. Seeing a mushroom-headed boy about his own age approaching, the boy was filled with doubts. He wanted to say something, but he swallowed it wisely. In this current situation, we can only treat the dead horse as a living horse doctor. Wow! The big mushroom king stretched out his hands, and the palms emitted blazing green light, and a strange image of a chaotic green lotus appeared behind him. The emerald green light was as vast as smoke, and sprouts sprouted from the soil wherever it went. Buzzing, the surging power of the wood element poured into the girl's body, frantically repairing the damaged vitality. Not a moment, the girl's complexion gradually became rosy, and her eyelashes trembled slightly. All right, the big mushroom king took back his hand and exhaled a foul breath. Little sister, wake up. The young man was startled and called out quickly. The girl opened her eyes, with a hint of confusion in her innocent and clear eyes, and her voice was as clear and sweet as the flowing water of a clear spring. Brother, what's wrong with me? Who are they? Seeing several strangers around her, the girl seemed embarrassed and leaned towards the boy with her delicate body. Seeing this scene, the young man was overjoyed. He pulled his sister and explained, "Little sister, you were seriously injured just now and almost died. It was this miracle doctor who saved you. Thank you, my dear, for saving my life." The girl was surprised and immediately bent down and expressed her gratitude to the jarhead boy in front of her. The big mushroom king quickly waved his hand and said awkwardly, "No, you're welcome, it's just a little effort." With that said, he turned around and quickly returned to his master, not wanting to communicate with strangers at all. "I'm curious, what did you do to deserve such treatment by the Han monks?" Kang Langjun stroked his beard and asked the doubts in his heart. In his opinion, apart from being relatively fast, these brothers and sisters were ordinary in other aspects. Why did they attract the pursuit of the Tianshui Han family? The brother and sister lowered their heads, their faces showing sadness and anger, and they felt very humiliated inside. "Elder brother, little sister, as far as I'm concerned, they are our saviors and are worthy of trust." After a while, the young man took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Old senior, I believe you have also seen that we are not from the human race, but from the demon race. The reason why the Tianshui Han family captured us brothers and sisters is actually to make us into food for their young master to enjoy. It is said that the current young master of the Han family likes to eat the meat of our clan. This has led to not only the Han family, but also many forces from all over the country who want to arrest us in order to please the young master. Over the years, our clan has struggled to survive in the cracks and has continued to change locations many times. As a result, not long ago, during the Great Migration within the clan, we were attacked by the enemy. My sister and I separated from the large army and became scattered. Later, on the way to the tribe, I was discovered by the monks of the Han family. In order to avoid pursuit, I fled all the way here." The boy's voice became smaller and smaller as he spoke, feeling very depressed. He clenched his fists, shaking. Because he had to satisfy the appetite of a young master of the imperial clan, his entire clan would suffer disaster and be captured as food. No one wants their own ethnic group to be treated like this. But there is no way, being weak these days is the original sin. As an imperial clan, the Tianshui Han family is high in the Zai's Immortal domain and is one of the top ancient clans. Who dares to stand up and oppose? Who dares to say something fair? After listening to her brother's words and thinking of the struggles of the tribesmen over the years, the girl couldn't help but have mist in her eyes and sobbed softly on the side. "Hey, I really understand the feeling of being caught and eaten." The big mushroom king sighed, feeling the same feeling in his heart. As a top-quality elixir, how many monks had arrested him in the first place? If it hadn't been for Master's intervention, he would have been refined by now and treated like a piece of shit. Chapter 583. C584 The choice that determines the fate of the tribe. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes and stared at the dog noses and ears of the brother and sister. An idea emerged in his mind, and he asked tentatively, "What tribe are you from?" The young man did not dare to hide anything from the silver-haired young man. After all, even the old man had to be respectful to him. Replying to the senior, "We are from the Tengu tribe." The Tengu tribe? Yi Junlin and his friends were no strangers to this tribe. Because Go Buli was a member of the Tengu tribe, he followed the Empress Fuyao and became her watchdog. How many immortal emperors were frightened by a dog barking? And the Tengu tribe, as the tribe they belonged to, must have had a very high status in those days, and to some extent, they could be compared with the emperor tribe and had unlimited glory. After all, being able to become a saint's watchdog, going out represents the saint's face. Who dared to provoke him at that time? Do you think your life is too long? Unexpectedly, the once glorious Tengu tribe has now fallen from the altar to the dust, and is the worst of all the demon tribes. The tribesmen were displaced and homeless, and they had to bear the risk of being caught and used as food all the time. They lived in fear and fear. If Go Buli knew the situation of the Tengu tribe, I wonder what he would think in his heart. "Master, they are the compatriots of Senior Go," the big mushroom king said softly. Yi Junlin nodded. I still remember that when he ascended to the Immortaland, Go Buli asked him to take care of the Tengu tribe if he met them, and gave him a golden dog tag as a token. Thinking of this, Yi Junlin had a golden token in his hand, with a dog head logo on it, which was inexplicably a bit funny. Do you know this? When the dog head token was taken out, the brother and sister opened their eyes wide, as if they had lost their souls. "Brother, why is this so similar to the one of the tribe leader?" the girl said in surprise. "Very similar, but different. The tribe leader's is silver, and as for the gold, I have never seen it, but the pattern are very consistent." The boy's heart seemed to be surging. He vaguely thought of a rumor in the tribe, but he was not sure. Because this rumor was a long time ago, so long that even the tribe leader was not sure it was true, and many tribesmen just regarded it as a legend to coax children. At this time, seeing the golden dog tag in Yi Junline's hand, the boy once again remembered the ancient rumor circulating in the tribe. He was inexplicably excited, but he was afraid that it was a false joy. A strange color flashed in Yi Junline's eyes. He could see that the boy recognized something, but he was not sure. Could it be that the token given by Lao Go has great significance in the current Tengu tribe? Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering the sign-in task. Go to the current residents of the Tengu tribe to complete the sign-in, and reward a supreme immortal method advanced upright without shadow. Closing square bracket. Suddenly, a system prompt sounded in his mind. There's another trend. Yi Junline raised his eyebrows and checked the introduction of this skill. Standing upright without shadow can make the caster enter a state of virtualization. In this state, the caster cannot be hit by any force, which is equivalent to nothingness. The virtualization time is currently 2 seconds, and the time can be further extended in the future. There is no clear upper limit. Seeing this, Yi Junline was shocked. This skill is awesome. It can virtualize itself and be immune to all damage in the process. Although it is only 2 seconds at present, the battlefield changes rapidly. 1 second can decide life and death, let alone 2 seconds. Also, if facing an attack like the Immortal Destroying Talisman, 2 seconds of virtualization is enough to avoid most of the damage. Tongzi, this is good, I like it. Yi Junline praised. Ding, as long as the host is satisfied. Close black lens bracket. The system responded. After adjusting his mood, Yi Junline coughed a few times and said seriously. Let me be frank. An elder in your tribe is very familiar with me and once asked me to take care of you. If you believe me, take me to your place. I can help you get through the difficulties, at least you don't have to live like you are now. Yi Junline thought that while helping the Tengu tribe, he could also help himself get a sign-in reward. This kind of thing has the best of both worlds, so why not do it? Brother, the girl pulled the boy's sleeve, looking a little embarrassed. The Tengu tribe's foothold has always been kept secret from the outside world, for fear that it would be found by outside monks. Now, Yi Junline is so direct, and the girl doesn't know what to do, fearing that it is another bigger trap. Because a long time ago, there was such a similar example. A tribe member was rescued by a group of monks. The tribe member was very grateful and was moved by the sincerity of the group of monks. He slowly let go of all his guard and took the group of monks to the tribe's residence. However, this move almost brought about a catastrophe. While accepting the warm hospitality of the Tengu tribe, the group of monks secretly sent signals to the forces behind the scenes. Soon, a large number of human monks came in a mighty force to wipe out the Tengu tribe at that time. In the critical moment, many elders of the Tengu tribe stepped forward and led the tribe members to fight bravely. In the end, they used self-detonation to cut off the team behind them, giving many compatriots the opportunity to escape, which continued the fire of the tribe. Although they survived the crisis of extinction, the tribe also suffered heavy losses, and the overall strength was greatly reduced, which was not as good as before. After that painful lesson, the tribe began to have an iron rule, that is, no matter what happened, the tribe members outside were not allowed to disclose the location of the tribe. Even if it means death. The elders also told the younger generations in the tribe not to listen to the slander of the outsiders, and brought them to the tribe as guests out of kindness. The current Tengu tribe has no friends that can be trusted, and can only trust themselves and their relatives. It is precisely this point that the girl is in a dilemma. She doesn't believe that this group of people will lie to her. After all, they just saved her, but she is also afraid of causing trouble to the tribe, so she is very entangled. The boy's eyes changed continuously, knowing that this matter is very important and can even change the fate of the entire tribe. With the dog head token in Yi Junline's hand and the ancient rumor he thought of, he is more willing to lean towards the voice in his heart and decides to bet on it. Okay, I'll take you there. The boy is very courageous, and he can't help but clench his fists, with a firm look in his eyes. He believes in his own judgment. Seeing this, Yi Junline smiled and said admiringly, "Young man, you made the most correct choice in your life. By the way, I still don't know what your names are." "My name is Go Ziqing, and my sister's name is Go Chenny." Go Ziqing said truthfully. As Yi Junline said, until one day several years later, when the old Go Ziqing talked about this with his children, he would feel extremely fortunate and proud. Chapter 584. C585 so delicious that it makes dogs bark. Then, under Yi Junline's instructions, Kang Langjun began to process the caught seafood. A large pot was set up, and various fish, shrimps and crabs were put into stew. Under his careful preparation, the soup in the pot soon turned golden yellow, and bursts of fragrance began to float out and fill the air. It smells so good, Go Ziqing and Go Chenny swallowed hard and their stomachs rumbled. During this period of time, the brother and sister were displaced and hiding in Tibet. In addition, they ran all the way and exhausted their physical strength. They needed a lot of food to replenish their energy. The appearance of this pot of seafood dinner would undoubtedly solve their urgent needs. But the brother and sister were very sensible and did not express their wishes. Instead, they suppressed the hunger coming from their bodies and remained silent. Why are you just standing there? Come here and have something to eat together. Yi Junline greeted. Ah, Go Ziqing was stunned, with a look of disbelief on his face. Senior, can we eat with you? Of course, Yi Junline said nonchalantly. Brother, then let's. Go Chenny touched her shriveled belly, her big pure eyes full of longing. She was really hungry. Senior, then we won't be polite. Go Ziqing didn't show any pretense, and pulled his sister straight away with his eyes red. Immediately, they ate a seafood dinner together. Since the ingredients are very high-end and are from the Immortal King level Sea tribe, they are a great supplement for the demon tribe with lower cultivation level. Woof woof, woof woof woof. When Go Ziqing and Go Chenny ate to the end, their blood boiled, and they even couldn't help barking. Every pore in their bodies was spraying out wisps of sunlight. The expressions on their faces were still unfinished, and their cultivation aura was rising step by step. It is no exaggeration to say that this is the most filling meal they have ever had, and it is also the most delicious. Listening to the frequent barking of dogs in his ears, Yi Junline rubbed his eyebrows and scolded with some boredom. Stop, stop barking. The next moment, the barking of dogs that echoed through the forest suddenly stopped. Go Ziqing, who had almost revealed his true form, lay on the ground with a look of fear on his face and said. My sister and I didn't intend to disturb Senior's meal, please atone. My younger sister Go Chenny also had a dog's head on her head. She was so frightened that she crouched on the ground, trembling, fearing that she would be killed. Hey, Lord Kanglang sighed. This is so good. What do you think your dog's name is? You must have made Senior Yi unhappy. Seeing the two people scared to death, Yi Junline waved his hands angrily. It's okay, just don't scream, you can continue to eat. After all, they were two dogs at the end of the day, so he could understand. No, we are full, Go Ziqing said weakly, feeling very scared and ashamed. Fortunately, this Senior Yi didn't care about his and his sister's faults. From the moment of contact to the present, Go Ziqing knew that the other party was a more powerful being than his grandfather, and he guessed that Yi Junline was probably an immortal. Thinking of this, Go Ziqing was still very excited. If the Tengu clan could have an immortal with a profound background to protect them, at least their situation would be much better than now. As for the immortal emperor, the dog-brained mind of a self-sufficient person cannot dare to even think about it. After all, every immortal emperor is a giant in the immortal world who covers the sky with one hand, and all living beings are ants to them. How is it possible to be so approachable, and invite him and his sister to enjoy the delicious food together? Impossible, absolutely impossible. It didn't take long. After enjoying this sumptuous seafood feast, Yi Junline and the others set out on the road to the Tengu tribe's land. At the same time, the immortal realm of Middle-earth, the Great Dream Immortal Sect. This sect is built on a vast immortal island. The sky is filled with colorful lights, and it is as beautiful as a dream. Many disciples can be seen on the island. Some of them are sitting cross-legged and breathing, some are watering and fertilizing the immortal plants, some are exchanging skills, and some are chatting. A scene of happiness and prosperity. Inside the pavilion, there was a middle-aged man with a bun, a slight beard on his temples, and a rather elegant appearance. He was sitting on a chair with a slightly lazy posture, supporting his head with one hand, and said in a leisurely tone. I don't know what the noble Yuha Immortal Emperor is doing when he comes to visit our Great Dream Immortal Sect today. Yu Washeng, who was sitting in front of him, took a sip from his teacup and said with a smile on his face. Immortal Emperor Dameng is joking. In terms of status, you are better than me. After all, you are older than me in the Immortal Court, and I am just a junior in front of you. Forget it, I am just a bastard in the Immortal Court, and my presence is relatively weak among the Grade A Immortal officials. Immortal Emperor Dameng waved his hand and said lazily. There was a glint in Yu Wansheng's eyes. He knows that the Great Dream Immortal Emperor is a troublesome being who is seriously underestimated among the immortal emperors. This person can create dreams in an instant and trap a large number of targets in them. The level of threat is not small. And because of his attitude of not competing for anything, he was assigned a position in charge of the guarding formation by Shanting. In terms of real power, the gold content was even higher than him. Your Excellency, you are too self-effacing. If you are really of no use, then why would I, go out of my way to find you? Yu Huasheng's tone was meaningful. Immortal Emperor Dameng raised his eyebrows, and suddenly a warning sign rose in his heart. Not good. In an instant, the surrounding blood mist filled the air, as if forming a small world, blocking out all fluctuations in the outside world. Swish swish swish, several figures in blood robes appeared, with fangs exposed in their mouths, and their faces were full of sinister looks. This is the Undead Blood Clan. The Great Dream Immortal Emperor's expression changed drastically. He glared at Yu Huasheng in front of him and scolded, "You Immortal Emperor, you dare to collude with foreign races and betray the immortal world." Yu Huasheng sighed, "A good bird chooses a tree to live in. This small immortal world will be finished sooner or later. It's better to find another wise master. You and I are both smart people. Why bother about this little integrity? Shut up, you don't deserve to be compared with me." The Great Dream Immortal Emperor was emotional. He swept away the previous laziness and cast a spell with both hands, and shouted. Infinite dreams. This is his most proud method. It can pull the target into the dream and repeat billions of different dreams, which is equivalent to living countless reincarnations. All those who are hit will be like being stuck in a quagmire and unable to extricate themselves. In an instant, many blood emperors who wanted to take action seemed to be possessed at this moment. They closed their eyes and drooped their heads, and their bodies stopped in the air. This is entering the dream. What a powerful method. Beads of sweat overflowed from Yu Huasheng's forehead, and a strong sense of sleepiness swept over his brain, and his eyelids were about to close heavily. He knew very well that once he entered the dream, he would be a beast at the mercy of others. Sure enough, this unobtrusive Great Dream Immortal Emperor was actually one of the most difficult characters in the Immortal Court. You betrayed the immortal world and deserved death. I will report to the Immortal Court after I deal with you. The Great Dream Immortal Emperor said with disgust. He has always been very confident in his ability to create dreams out of thin air, and he does not think that the Immortal Emperor Yua and the Blood Emperors can get away. As long as they drag it out, they can complete the counterattack. Suddenly, something changed suddenly. A gust of cold wind blew. What's going on? The Great Dream Immortal Emperor suddenly felt a chill on his back, and a chill spread along the spine to the top of his head, trying to lift his skull. Puff! At this moment, a sudden big hand penetrated his back and stretched out from his chest, holding a bloody heart in his hand, beating. What? When? The Great Dream Immortal Emperor couldn't believe it, with horror in his eyes. The opponent's strength was unfathomable to be able to appear without anyone noticing and give him a fatal blow. Behind him, the contemptuous voice of the Blood Emperor Luan Tian sounded. You lowly native dare to show off your ridiculous tricks in front of me. Humph! Bang! The heart suddenly exploded with a pinch of the palm. Ah! The Great Dream Immortal Emperor trembled, and fell into a pool of blood with black eyes. Chapter 585. C586 The Self-Confidence of the Blood Emperor of Chaos. Immortal Emperor Dameng probably never dreamed that one day he would be plotted against by his own people and killed. If Yu Huasheng hadn't lowered his vigilance at the beginning, even if he was killed by Blood Emperor Luan Tian, he would have been able to spread the news and let the Immortal Court take countermeasures as soon as possible. But unfortunately, everything was too late. Blood Emperor Luan Tian licked the blood on his hand, his eyes were extremely contemptuous, as if he had just crushed an ant to death. Not far away, because of the death of Immortal Emperor Dameng, the few undead vampires also broke away from the dream, sweating profusely, gasping for breath, and their eyes were full of lingering fear. Looking at everything in front of them, they immediately understood what happened, and their faces showed shame and anger. They didn't expect that the ability of Immortal Emperor Dameng was so terrible that they were caught in an instant. In just a short moment, they had hundreds of horrible nightmares. If it dragged on, their spirits would collapse. Damn natives, how dare you play tricks on us? Several angry undead vampires rushed over, divided up the body of the Great Dream Immortal Emperor, put it in their mouths and bid it to absorb blood, with extremely ferocious expressions and ferocious eyes. Seeing this scene, Yu Huasheng felt a chill on his back. For the tragic death of the Great Dream Immortal Emperor, he couldn't help but feel a little sad. But there was no way, he had already defected to the camp of the foreign race, so he had to use all means to help them cut the wings of the immortal world. It just so happened that the Great Dream Immortal Emperor was a difficult guy, and getting rid of him as soon as possible would be more conducive to the implementation of the plan. Don't look at it, if you don't listen, this will be your fate, understand? The Blood Emperor Luan Tian said deliberately with his bloody hair flying. Yu Huasheng cursed inwardly, pretending to be scared on the surface, and said tremblingly. My lord, I promise to be obedient. Haha, Luantian Blood Emperor stood tall with his hands behind his back, and said arrogantly, if you ask me, this native is not that important. He can't stand a fight at all. You'd better not use inferior goods to fool me. During this period, thanks to Yu Huasheng's matchmaking, Luantian Blood Emperor and others can get closer to the first-class immortal officials, and kill them one by one and replace them. So far, the plan has been going smoothly. Nearly 20 of the 33 Blood Emperors have successfully replaced their identities and acted as well-known immortal bosses, holding high positions in the immortal court and holding military power. And the Great Dream Immortal Emperor is the last one at present. But Luantian Blood Emperor is very dissatisfied. He wants to fight a stronger opponent, which is interesting and challenging. Getting rid of this kind of stuff doesn't give him a sense of accomplishment. It feels like a small fight. Because of his strong strength, he was called the unparalleled Duke in the clan, so wherever the Blood Emperor of Chaos Sky went, he was arrogant and looked down on everyone. With his family power and his own conditions, he would not lack the cultivation resources to impact the saint in the future. The reason why he was willing to wade into this muddy water was more of a challenging attitude. If the progress was too easy, he would be unhappy. Yu Huasheng knew the other party's temper very well, so he had to smile and said, My lord, the Great Dream Immortal Emperor is not an ordinary immortal official. His importance in the immortal court is higher than those guys we replaced before. I want to leave this quota to you, so that you can replace him to take charge of the court protection formation. What do you think? The Blood Emperor of Chaos Sky showed disdain. Forget it, let me be him, he is not qualified enough. As he said, without allowing Yu Huasheng to advise, he pointed at one of the blood-robed figures and ordered. You, go replace the native just now. The companion who was pointed at did not dare to disobey and nodded in agreement. Then, his body changed, and finally took on the appearance of the Great Dream Immortal Emperor, but without the lazy and casual temperament of the original owner. Seeing this, Yu Huasheng did not dare to say anything, so he had to lower his head and sneer, the arrangement of the adults is more wise. A hint of subtle hatred flashed in his eyes. Do you need to tell me? The Blood Emperor of Chaos snorted coldly. Tell me, which immortal officials are more prestigious in the immortal world, I want to be one of them. But, Yu Huasheng looked embarrassed, the strength of those people will be stronger, I am afraid that this will increase the variables. Since the previous mistake, he has become more cautious. Who knew that as soon as he finished speaking, he was hit by a heavy punch in the stomach, which made Yu Huasheng's back bend like a shrimp, his eyeballs were about to pop out, and he retched. Yu Huasheng's stomach cramped, and he knelt on the ground in pain, with beads of sweat as big as beans coming out of his forehead. The Blood Emperor looked down at him and sneered, You lowly native, do you think I can't handle it? If you question me again, you won't suffer this next time. Yu Huasheng was shocked and angry. He stood up while resisting the pain in his stomach. He forced a smile on his pale face. Yes, sir, I'm right. The Blood Emperor said, Why don't you tell me now? Sir, there are 5 more immortal masters in the immortal world. Each of them can lead a immortaland. Their status and strength are higher than those we met before. Yu Huasheng said with a stiff face. The Blood Emperor's eyes flashed. Before I came here, I heard that little girl Rosa returned from the Beihan Immortaland in a great defeat. Could it be that the one who defeated her was the immortal master of the Beihan Immortaland? As the unrivaled Duke of the Undead Blood Clan, and also a prodigy with a super family behind him, he did not have much awe for the Asura Princess Rosa, who had a deep background. Even after hearing that Rosa had fled, he felt a sense of disdain in his heart. It seems that the proud daughter of heaven touted by the Asura clan is actually just that. I only know that it is rumored that it was indeed the immortal Lord Yi who suppressed the demon cave in the Beihan Immortal realm. Yu Huasheng lowered his eyebrows. He began to think that he could divert the trouble to the east, let the Blood Emperor Luan Tian deal with Yi Junlin, and get rid of this big trouble. Interesting. The corner of the Blood Emperor Luan Tian's mouth curled up with an interested smile. I am very interested in this human native. If you go to deal with this kind of guy, it must be very challenging. Suddenly, Yu Huasheng seemed to have sensed something, and took out a vibrating sound transmission ring. He glanced at the content transmitted, and his expression changed slightly. Just now, the spy I planted in Beihan Immortal domain reported an important news to me. That Yi Shenju had left Beihan Immortal domain because of something. Someone saw the direction he was heading, which was suspected to be Zai's Immortal domain. He went to Zai's Immortal domain. The Blood Emperor Luantian raised his eyebrows. In that case, let's go find him. Yu Washeng was about to say something subconsciously, but was frightened by the cold eyes of the Blood Emperor Luantian. He suddenly reacted and nodded repeatedly. It really fits the saying that being with the king is like being with a tiger. He admitted that the Blood Emperor Luantian was very powerful, but he was too conceited. He was simply arbitrary and authoritarian. If he was not satisfied, he would pretend to kill people. It was really a suffering to cooperate with such a lunatic. Damn it, it would be best if he and the Yi guy died together. Yu Washeng said secretly. He really hated the Blood Emperor Luantian and wished that he would die soon. Afterwards, after some explanation, the undead vampire who pretended to be the Great Dream Immortal Emperor and several other companions continued to stay in the Great Dream Immortal sect and obey orders. Yu Washeng and the Blood Emperor Luantian went to the Zai's Immortal realm together. Chapter 586. C587 The Tengu tribe is shocked. Zai's Immortaland. Under the guidance of Go Ziqing and his sister, Yi Junlin and his companions came to an extremely remote and backward desolate land. There was not even a blade of grass in a radius of 100,000 miles, and the land was dry and cracked, which was a desolate place. Who would have thought that under such a harsh environment, there was actually a tribe living here without telling the outside world? The Tengu tribe, a once glorious race, has lived such a miserable life in the long years. Anyone who knows the origin will feel a sigh. There are no decent buildings in the tribe, and the tribesmen live directly in simple tents. There are dried fish and animal meat drying around, exuding a faint fragrance. It happened that night fell, and piles of bonfires burned, illuminating this destitute tribe. The adults came back from hunting outside and prepared food. Some children were chasing each other and playing. Although the life in the tribe is very shabby and hard, as long as they are not disturbed by the monks from the outside world, they feel very at ease and satisfied with the quiet and simple life at present. After all, over the years, the Tengu tribe has always been forced to migrate and live a life of displacement. In contrast, the current situation is already the best. Auntie, you must not go out. Ziqing and Chenny will definitely come back safely. Don't stop me, I only have these 2 children left. Now so many days have passed, and I haven't even seen a dog shadow. How can you let me feel at ease? Somewhere near the foot of the mountain, a woman in simple clothes was crying and carrying a flower basket with food. She was about to leave. Several tribesmen around stopped her and kept persuading her. During this period, some tribesmen occasionally cast their eyes, and their eyes were full of pity and regret. They all knew that the woman's 2 children were accidentally separated during a tribe migration. They didn't come back for so many days, and they were afraid that they were in danger. That's right, this is the mother of Go Ziqing and his sister, Go Kuewa. My life is so miserable. Go Kuewa, who was stopped and dissuaded, almost collapsed mentally. She threw the flower basket aside and knelt on the ground and cried loudly. Everyone felt sorry for it, but they were helpless. These days, the Tengu tribe is trying to survive in the cracks. Every member of the tribe is extremely low-key and careful when going out, fearing that they will be caught and used as food by human cultivators. You know, the young master of the Tianshui Han family, who is now an imperial family, has a special liking for the dog meat of the Tengu tribe and is salivating. So, how many major forces want to capture them and offer them to the young master of the Han family? And those 2 children, with low cultivation, are in the human territory full of dangers. What is the probability that they can return safely? The probability is obviously extremely slim. It is possible that they have been skinned, washed and chopped neatly, and made into dog meat hot pot. Of course, they kept these words in their hearts. If they said them out, Go Kuewa, as a mother, would definitely commit suicide. Auntie, you must think more open-mindedly. Maybe the children are on their way back. If you go out, you won't be able to see them. A tribe member advised kindly. Yes, these 2 children have been smart since they were young, especially Ziqing. He has a lot of tricks. His dog brain can come up with thousands of ideas. With his intelligence, he will definitely bring his sister back. Yes, I think so too. The tribe members said something to comfort Go Kuewa. Go Kuewa's crying gradually became less loud, but she was still sobbing softly, and she felt a little better in her heart. In fact, she knew that the tribe members were comforting her. She also knew that even if she went out to look for them, there would be little hope and she would lose her life, but she just couldn't let go of the children. However, a young man ran over. His anxious voice was filled with a hint of fear. "Auntie, your 2 children are back." What? Everyone was very surprised, and each other's eyes were filled with astonishment. "No, they really came back. I told you, Zicheng has been smart since he was a child," the tribe member said. Go Kwewa came back from the shock and said excitedly, "Good, it's good that they are back, God bless you." "No, it's not good at all," the young man who came back to report the news said anxiously. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Everyone was confused. "How can you talk like that? What do you mean? Do you think you are easy to mess with?" Go Kwewa's eyes turned red. She grabbed the young man's collar and said angrily. She was most happy that the 2 children could come back safely, but the other party spoke like this, which made her angry. "Auntie, something bad has happened. Not only did your child come back, he also brought a few outsiders back to the tribe." Even the tribe leader was alarmed. The young man said anxiously. What did you say?" Go Kwewa was struck by lightning, with disbelief in her eyes. That child actually brought outsiders back to the tribe. Everyone was shocked, and their eyes changed when they looked at Go Kwewa. Back then, the Tengu tribe was almost exterminated once because some tribe members believed the slander of outsiders and let down their guard to bring them back to the tribe, which brought a catastrophe to the tribe. After that incident, the Tengu tribe suffered heavy losses. From then on, it was passed down from generation to generation in the tribe that it was strictly forbidden to bring outsiders back to the tribe, otherwise the tribe would punish them. For so many years, the tribesmen have been very observant and dare not violate this iron rule, fearing that they will become the culprit of the disaster. Now, there are tribesmen who disregard the iron rule and privately bring outsiders back, exposing the location of the tribe. The consequences are extremely serious. "Quick, take me to see." Go Kwewa became more and more scared the more she thought about it. At the same time, Yi Junlin and others came to the Tiango tribe, looking at the chaotic scene in front of them, with dogs barking everywhere, and fell into silence. "Master, they don't seem to welcome us." The big mushroom king scratched his head. "Little black fellow Taoist, you don't understand this. Only when facing the arrival of distinguished guests, the tribesmen of the Tiango tribe will bark wildly to show their enthusiasm for the distinguished guests." Kanglang Jun smiled with an expression of understanding. Yi Junlin glanced at him. "You think I haven't raised a dog, right? This is how dogs welcome guests." Kanglang Jun was choked all of a sudden. Brother, Sister Go Chenny was very worried, knowing that this move had caused panic among the tribesmen. "Don't be afraid, I will explain." Go Zicheng forced himself to calm down, took a step forward and shouted to the tribe. "Everyone, I brought you a few distinguished guests, they are here to help the Tengu tribe." The next second, an old and angry voice with a sense of disappointment sounded. "Child, you are confused. I saw a white-haired old man with a cane, a silver dog head token hanging around his waist, and a breath of precipitation over the ears, leading the tribesmen out." The tribesmen all held weapons in their hands, staring at Yi Junlin and others with hostility. Window. _Tabula equals window. _Tabula. Push mode. Thumb speed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet. Placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 587. C588 The Legendary Deeds of Go Buli. Chief, listen to my explanation. These people are all good people. They saved me and my sister, and... Enough. Before Go Zicheng finished speaking, he was angrily interrupted by the old chief. The old chief raised his cane and pointed at it tremblingly, his face full of grief. "Child, have you forgotten the ancestral precepts left by our tribe? That was a bloody lesson. Because of that incident, our tribe was almost exterminated. If it weren't for the ancestors of our tribe who stepped forward and desperately covered the retreat of the tribe, the Tengu tribe would have disappeared in the long river of history. I thought the younger generation of the tribe would take it as a warning, but I didn't expect you to violate the ancestral precepts. This is going to make my Tengu tribe repeat the same mistake." The old chief became more and more excited as he spoke, and finally coughed violently a few times, looking at Go Zicheng with disappointment in his eyes. "Child, you are going to hurt us. What's wrong with your dog brain? How could you think of bringing outsiders in? It's over, our position is exposed." The tribesmen were excited and denounced. Faced with the overwhelming rebuke, Go Zicheng and his sister turned pale. "Chief, Go Kwewa, I'm willing to be punished for the children. You can kill or cut them up as you like. My 2 children are still young, and they are also bewitched. Go Kwewa rushed over with disheveled hair, knelt in front of the old chief, and said with tears, "Mom, get up quickly." Go Zicheng and Go Chenny felt a pain in their hearts, and immediately ran over to help the woman up. "Don't touch me, you don't know how big a mistake you have made. Mom is atonement for your sins." Go Kwewa cried and collapsed, feeling like the sky was falling. The brother and sister violated the ancestral precepts, and it was no exaggeration to say that they were the public enemy of the whole clan. As a mother, she loved her son so much that she had to use her life to make compensation, hoping that the clan members would forgive her children's mistakes. Take them away first, and then deal with them. The old clan leader knocked the ground twice with his crutches and ordered. Yes, several Tengu clan masters wearing animal skins, with iron faces, were about to forcibly take down the brother and sister. "I don't accept it, I'm not wrong." Go Zicheng was very angry and tried his best to resist. His strength was surprisingly strong. He broke free from control in an instant and shocked several Tengu clan masters to retreat again and again. The clan members were stunned and were surprised by the strength Go Zicheng showed. A touch of surprise flashed in the old clan leader's eyes. You know, after years of decline and being suppressed by outside cultivators, the Tengu clan did not get a good development condition at all, resulting in a low overall cultivation level within the clan. If you can reach the realm of Immortal Lord, you are a master in the clan. If you are a top Immortal Lord, you are a first-class master in the clan. If you reach the realm of Immortal King, you are the master of the clan and the only candidate for the position of clan leader. In fact, this configuration can still barely make it in such a backward place. It's a pity that this is the Zai's immortal realm with a profound foundation. There are many masters and strong men. In addition, the Tiango clan is too special and has been targeted by the Tianshui Han family. Now it is worse than the general demon clan. At this time, seeing that the young man can repel several clan masters by himself, the old clan leader is still very surprised. With his eyesight, he can see that Go Zicheng is in the realm of Xuanxian, but his strength is stronger than that of an ordinary immortal lord. With such talent, if he is cultivated with all his strength, his future achievements will not be worse than his. The old clan leader didn't know that Go Zicheng had eaten a lot of Immortal King level flesh and blood, and refined all the energy contained in the flesh and blood along the way, and his body had already undergone earth-shaking changes. Although not at the level of Immortal Lord, their strength has surpassed most of them, and their starting point has been raised to the level of the Tianzhao cultivated in the sect's holy land. After all, the reason why the Tiango clan is ranked among the top royal families of the demon clan is that they have their expertise. First of all, the dog barking has the effect of affecting the spirit, and the movement speed is far faster than most creatures. The most important thing is that they have a certain devouring ability and can strengthen themselves by eating the flesh and blood of the demon clan. Take the ordinary demon clan as an example. They can only eat a little bit of the seafood feast of the Immortal King level at most, and their whole body will not be able to bear it. If they eat one more bite, they will probably explode on the spot. But the Tiango clan will not, and they have a huge advantage in this regard. For example, Go Zicheng, who has the cultivation level of the initial Xuanxian, ate a lot of flesh and blood of the Immortal King level, and his cultivation level climbed to the top Xuanxian level. Therefore, the talent of the Tiango clan is very strong, but it is only because of the suppression of the outside world that they have fallen into such a field. Seeing Go Zicheng resisting with all his might, the old patriarch snorted coldly, raised his hand and pressed down, and a solid white dog paw pressed over. Go Zicheng knelt down on the ground, overwhelmed, with a painful expression on his face. The old patriarch said in a deep voice, "Do you accept it or not? Do you admit your mistakes or not?" To be fair, he really wanted to keep the child, because the child had the potential to catch up with the level of his ancestors. Therefore, he just wanted to do enough superficial work to let the other party realize his mistakes first, and then educate him well. Result: Go Zicheng was not willing to give in at all, and gritted his teeth and said, "I am not wrong, I am helping the Tengu tribe." You. The old patriarch was furious. Patriarch, Chinger was just confused for a moment, so he made such a reckless move. "I am willing to be punished for him." Go Kwewa cried anxiously, and kowtowed and begged for mercy. "HMPH, it's all your fault for not teaching your child well." The clan members were all angry and believed that Go Kwewa, as a mother, also had some responsibility. Just then, a clear voice came from the front, "Have you had enough of the trouble?" As soon as the voice fell, Yi Junlin appeared beside Go Zicheng and waved his hand casually. Bang! The white dog paw pressing on Go Zicheng was instantly smashed by a force. What? The old patriarch was struck by lightning, his dog eyes widened in horror. According to his understanding, those who can easily do this are at least strong people above the immortal emperor. Senior, I'm sorry. Go Zicheng felt very ashamed and felt that he had made a fool of himself by his benefactor. Yi Junlin said, you are not wrong, they accidentally misunderstood. What exactly do you want to do? Our clan temple is too small to accommodate a big Buddha like you. The old patriarch said with great vigilance, and he was very nervous. This silver-haired young man gave him a feeling of unfathomable depth. If he wanted to harm the Tengu clan, it would be a catastrophe. A strong man at the level of the immortal emperor is enough to suppress the current Tengu clan. Yi Junlin took out a golden dog head token and threw it over, saying casually, I was once entrusted by an elder in your tribe to help your Tengu tribe appropriately. This is the token he gave me. See if you recognize it. The old patriarch took the golden dog head token and looked at it carefully. His dog eyes widened, his pupils trembled, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. He murmured, this is. The tribesmen were in doubt. They had never seen this kind of dog head token, but they just felt that it was similar to the one worn by the patriarch. You say, could it be that this human race deliberately imitated a fake one to fool us? A self-righteous tribesman whispered. Unexpectedly, the old patriarch turned his head and yelled, shut up. You know shit. The latter was frightened and kept silent, and lowered his head quickly. That legend is actually true. The old patriarch's nose was sour, and his eyes were filled with hot tears. Holding the golden dog head token, he felt that it was heavier than a mountain. Legend. The tribesmen seemed to think of something, their eyes were unbelievable, and their breathing was much heavier. This token represents the greatest glory of our Tengu clan. There is only one winner in our clan's history. He is also a legendary genius of our clan. Legend has it that he follows an existence that surpasses the realm of the immortal emperor, and is entrusted with an important task. During that time, the status of our Tengu clan reached its peak, and its influence in the demon clan was unprecedented. Even the immortal emperor had to be respectful to our clan and dared not offend him in the slightest. As for his name, our clan still has accurate records to this day. He is called the Heaven-Swallowing Dog Lord. As he spoke, the old patriarch shed 2 lines of hot tears, and his whole old body was trembling. This was not because of fear, but because he was too emotional. Chapter 588. C589 The style of painting changes. The hearts of the tribesmen were beating like drums, their breathing was extremely heavy, and they felt as if their souls were about to leave their bodies after being struck by thunder. This legend has been circulating among the Tengu clan for more than tens of millions of years. Ever since the Tengu clan fell into decline, their lives have been very miserable. As the younger generation, when they hear this legend, they will only feel that it is too far away from the present, just like ordinary people listening to the heavenly book, so unrealistic. Sky-swallowing dog lord, those who dare to take such a name must be in the realm of immortals. But today's Tengu clan, let alone the immortal lord, even the immortal king has not been born for a long time, and there is only one immortal king. Moreover, according to legendary records, the sky-swallowing dog lord followed an existence that surpassed the immortal emperor. What is this concept? In today's immortal world, the immortal emperor is the strongest, but they don't dare to think about levels beyond the immortal emperor. They think it's ridiculous. This feeling is like a frog at the bottom of a well. He only sees the sky above his head, but has no idea how big the world outside the well is, let alone the boundless universe and billions of stars beyond the sky. Anyway, for a long time, everyone has regarded this legend as a fictional deed by the ancestors and told it to children. As a result, the old patriarch said that this was true, which undoubtedly had a huge mental impact on them and completely subverted their previous understanding. In other words, our Tengu clan was really brilliant before and was the most influential lineage among the demon clan. Even the immortal emperor has to be respectful to our clan. Just thinking about it is incredible. The heaven-swallowing dog lord, the ancestor of our clan's Zongxing. There was a lot of discussion. Hear the words. Yi Junlin looked strange. Can't you tell, that old guy Guguli is actually so high in the clan? What a heaven-swallowing dog master. It seems that this guy was still an immortal in his heyday. Also, when you serve as a watchdog for Empress Fuyao, your level should not be too low. Immortal Lord is the normal standard. Yi Junlin finally understood how proud Guguli felt at that time. Think about it carefully, as a powerful immortal master, you can have a group of high-ranking immortal emperors treat you with respect. How great is it? Anyone who wants to meet Empress Fuyao before entering the house must look at your face first. In private, he is even more attentive to you and has a good relationship with you as a brother-in-law. Therefore, even if he falls from the altar, Gubuli will definitely miss those days very much. And it is precisely because of this reason that he is unwilling to ascend to the immortal world. After all, he had once been glorious, dealing with a group of immortal emperors, but now his backer was gone, his aura had faded, and the psychological gap was huge. If he goes to deal with those old friends again, will they still be willing to be so enthusiastic towards him? In order to avoid shame and embarrassment, Gobuli decided not to go to the immortal world. At this moment, the old patriarch was in a state of excitement. This golden dog head token was the best evidence to verify the legend. Then, he focused his attention on Yi Junlin again, his eyes became extremely odd, and he said with sincere fear. We, the Tengu clan, are blind and have offended our seniors. Please forgive our clan's sins, seniors. After saying that, the old patriarch quickly led his clan members to kneel down to express his apology. Please forgive me, senior. All the clan members also realized that this was a misunderstanding and felt ashamed. At this moment, they completely let down their guard and respected the silver-haired young man's attitude. Since the other party can produce this token and have such rhetoric, it must be that they have a close relationship with their ancestor, the sky-swallowing dog lord. For this kind of dragon-like figure above the 9 heavens, there is nothing but awe in their hearts. Thinking that before, they were still hostile and did not welcome others, I felt very ridiculous and deeply scared. You know, this is a noble man who can change the fate of the Tengu clan. Everyone, get up. Those who don't know are not guilty. Yi Junlin raised his hand lightly, and an invisible force lifted the old patriarch and the others to their feet. Everyone was shocked and even more grateful. I just said I was right. You didn't listen. Upon seeing this, Go Ziqing felt elated and in a happy mood, standing next to Yi Junlin and shouting loudly. All the tribesmen were so ashamed that their cheeks were burning. My child, you were right. As the leader of the clan, I misunderstood you. I am really sorry. The old patriarch's face was full of guilt, and he bowed his head and apologized. Clan leader, don't be like this. I just want to contribute to the Tengu clan. Go Ziqing quickly helped the old clan leader up and said in a sincere tone. To be fair, this is the elder he respects most in the clan, and it is precisely because of his resourcefulness that the Tengu clan saves the day and escapes from death every time. Good boy, good boy. The old patriarch touched Go Ziqing's head, with tears in his eyes and a happy smile on his face. The misunderstanding was resolved and the atmosphere became harmonious. Everyone, please come and take a seat inside. Next, let our clan entertain you with the highest etiquette to express our gratitude. The old patriarch said respectfully. Yi Junlin and others nodded and entered the clan territory under the leadership of the old clan leader. The land of the Tengu clan looked very shabby, but they tried their best to arrange everything just to grandly entertain the most distinguished guests in history. This is the whole story of how my little sister and I met our seniors. During the process, Go Ziqing told what happened. It's good that everything is fine, it's good that everything is fine. As a mother, Go Kuewa was very happy. Not only did the 2 children come back safely, but they also brought great surprises to the tribe. Auntie, thanks to your good upbringing. The tribesmen around her changed their tone and complimented her. Go Kuewa rolled her eyes and said unhappily, you think I'm easy to coax, right? You didn't say that before. The tribesmen were embarrassed and shut their mouths in dismay. Late at night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. In this tribe land, looking around, there were dense bonfires, and all the tribesmen were singing and dancing around the bonfires, celebrating like the sea, with joyful smiles on their faces. They haven't been so happy for a long time. Knowing that the legend of the Tengu tribe is true, everyone felt proud in their hearts. In addition, there were distinguished guests visiting and offering help. All the tribesmen suddenly felt that the Tengu tribe had finally seen the light of day and the future was full of light. In this case, how could they not feel happy? It's very lively. Looking at all this, Yi Junlin had a smile on his face. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, and rewarded with the supreme magical power, upright and shadowless. In my mind, the system's prompt sound suddenly rang. Upright and shadowless, got it. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode, thumbs feet 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, Placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet, target underscore type, mix. Chapter 589. C590 The Dog Song. Senior, since you have friendship with our ancestor, I would like to know if he is okay in the original world. The old patriarch on the side asked anxiously after hesitating for a moment. Yi Junlin thought of Guguli's arrogant look and nodded with a smile. Don't worry, he's very good. After learning from this person that the heaven-swallowing dog lord was still alive, the old patriarch finally got rid of his previous worries and smiled with relief. That's good, that's good. The heaven-swallowing dog lord is the most legendary genius in the history of the Tengu clan. He is like a spiritual totem in the hearts of every clan member, occupying an extremely important position in his heart. Therefore, we all sincerely hope that he will be safe and sound. It's hard to imagine what an unparalleled hero our ancestor was. It is said that he worked for the Immortal Emperor back then, and during that time he was entrusted with important responsibilities and became extremely powerful. When the old clan leader talked about this, his face was full of pride, as if he had returned to that distant era and witnessed the glory of the Tengu clan with his own eyes. Hearing this, Yi Junlin's eyes flashed with something strange. Entrusted with important tasks. Powerful. Well, that seems to be the case. After all, Guguli can be the watchdog of Empress Fuyao. All immortal emperors have to look at his face if they want to see the empress. Can this status be high? Hey, I really want to go back to that time, instead of living like this now, hiding here and there with my clansmen, just living an ignoble existence. Speaking of this, the old clan leader's tone was a little low, and his mood became particularly heavy. Over the years, the burden on him has been too heavy. He thinks about the ethnic group all the time, and is deeply afraid of being unworthy of the sacrifices made by his ancestors. He hopes more than anyone else to revitalize the Tengu clan. With my help, the past is over, and now is destined to be a new beginning. Yi Junlin stretched out his hand, picked up a crystal fruit from the plate, and took a bite. The juice splashed everywhere, and the fragrance lingered on his lips and teeth. A strange look flashed in the eyes of the old patriarch. From the beginning, this silver-haired young man gave him a calm and unhurried feeling, as if every word he said would become a fact. Having read countless people, he knows that this is by no means a boast, but a kind of absolute confidence in his own strength. However, the external threat from the Tengu clan involves the Tianshui Han family, who are members of the imperial clan. Can it really be completely solved? The old patriarch had a trace of doubt in his heart, but he was relieved when he thought that at least life would be better than before. Other side, seeing such a lively scene, the more social-phobic Big Mushroom King wanted to be alone. As a result, several young, beautiful and coolly dressed Tengu women, after winking at each other, boldly went over to say hello and wanted to invite the Big Mushroom King to dance together. The Big Mushroom King naturally refused and waved his hands repeatedly. Seeing this, the Tengu women had no choice but to leave in disappointment. The Big Mushroom King sat on the stone and breathed a long sigh of relief. "Benefactor, can I sit with you?" Go Chenny walked over cautiously and asked. She went home and put on new clothes. She was wearing a white suspender skirt, elegant and beautiful, with a look of apprehension on her face. Yes, yes, the Big Mushroom King couldn't bear to refuse for a moment and nodded. Thanks. Go Kiani's eyes lit up and she was excited. She obediently sat next to the boy. This scene aroused the envy of many women of the same race nearby. My benefactor, thank you very much for saving me at that time. At that time, I almost thought I was dead. The Big Mushroom King scratched his head and said softly, You're welcome, I like to save lives and heal the wounded. I think that is the greatest meaning of my existence. Go Chenny pursed her lips and lowered her head. I really envy my benefactor for having such ability. Every time I see a clan member who died due to serious injuries, I feel sad and sad. I feel like there is nothing I can do, it's very useless. The Big Mushroom King said quickly, Don't say that. Everything in the world and every creature has its own meaning of existence. It's just that you haven't discovered it yet. Miss Chenny, you are still young and have a lot of room for improvement. Go Chenny was stunned, and a bright smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. You comfort me like this, and I feel much better. Thank you, benefactor. Oh, don't call me your benefactor. Just call me Xiao Hei. That's what everyone calls me too. King Mushroom said. Okay then, I'm just afraid of breaking the rules. Go Chenny intertwined her hands with a confused look on her face. I don't have any rules here, just master and friends. Then, am I your friend? Certainly, Big Mushroom King said firmly. Looking at the young man's clear and sincere eyes, Go Chenny felt a strange emotion in her heart. After looking at the girl intently for a few seconds, the big Mushroom King couldn't help but feel shy. He subconsciously turned his face away and shifted his gaze. His delicate and dark face looked a little nervous. Seeing the shy look of the other party, Go Chenny lifted her hair and tucked it behind her ears, with an unconcealable smile on her face. Xiao Hei, look at the stars in the sky tonight, they are so bright, she stretched out her finger and said in a soft voice. The big Mushroom King raised his head and looked up, sighing, it's true. Just like this, the two figures sat quietly on the stone, looking at the brightest star in the night sky. Not far away, Kanglang Jun was very excited and experienced the feeling of holding his great-grandson in advance. He was holding the infant baby with a kind smile on his face and humming his best ditty. However, the baby kept crying loudly and was not interested in the old man's song, and even showed a kind of resistance. This made Kanglang Jun very depressed. He used to play this kind of ditty when he coaxed his granddaughter. Every time her granddaughter felt restless, she would slowly calm down after listening to this ditty, and she would sleep sweetly in his arms. As a result, it failed with this bitch. Old senior, you can't coax like this. Come on, leave it to me. Go Ziqing stretched out his hand and said seriously. Okay, I want to see what you can do. Kanglang Jun said unconvinced. Go Ziqing took the baby and said with a smile, Old senior, you are from the human race. Unlike our Tengu tribe, naturally the children of our tribe cannot listen to the songs you hum. You know, dogs want to listen to dog songs. After saying that, Go Ziqing skillfully patted the baby's back and let out a series of rhythmic dog barks. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof, woof woof woof. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof, woof woof woof. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof, woof woof woof. Sure enough, after hearing this familiar melody, the baby cried and fussed at first, then gradually fell into calmness, closed his eyes and slept particularly sweetly. Am I right? Go Ziqing said proudly. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Mr. Kanglang was stunned. It turns out that people and dogs really have different paths. Chapter 590, C591. It's cool to pretend to be cool. Just when the atmosphere in the entire tribe was lively, suddenly a series of sharp sonic booms exploded from all directions, overwhelming all the laughter. What's going on? The hearts of the tribe members trembled, and they looked over in doubt. Rumble. The sky was full of wild sand, and the sword energy was overflowing. Countless monks flew from the sky on swords, spreading like a tide, with no end in sight. The young master has ordered that it is best to capture them alive. The more the better, there will be a reward later. Hurry up, don't let those beasts run away. Oh my god, that divine calculation element is really accurate. Those dogs are really hiding here. The shouts were boiling like the sea. The Han family monks invaded the Tiango tribe, their faces full of excitement, and a ferocious smile on their lips. Looking at the panicked tribe members below, they were so happy. Oh no, it's the Han family from Tianshui who's looking for us. A master of the Tengu tribe said in fear. Go to the clan leader. The adults were so scared that their scalps went numb, and they quickly retreated with their families. How did those guys find this place? Looking at this scene, Go Chenny couldn't help trembling and said in fear. She recalled the experience of being hunted by the Han family monks before. The big Mushroom King stood up, his eyes were bright, and he said in a firm tone, Don't worry, it's okay with Master. Yeah, Go Chenny nodded, and her heart was immediately much more at ease. At this time, the Han family monks broke into the Tengu tribe like locusts passing through the border. They did not kill them, but deliberately drove the Tengu tribe members away, trying to gather them together as much as possible and capture them all alive. The young master said that it's best to be alive. Because dog meat must be killed and cooked immediately to maximize the deliciousness of the meat, it is very particular. The most important thing is that the reward for catching them alive will be higher, so they have to be careful for the sake of their interests and dare not use too much force. A large number of tribesmen retreated in fear, and panic spread everywhere. Chief, our position has been exposed. The Han family came prepared this time. There are their people everywhere outside. We have no chance to escape this time. A confidant ran over and said in panic. The old patriarch held his crutches and wanted to get up in shock, but after looking at the silver-haired young man who was still calm, he suppressed his panic and said with difficulty. Why run away? With the seniors here, we will definitely be able to keep our Tengu tribe safe. Let all the tribesmen gather here. Don't run around. Hearing this, the confidant was stunned for a moment and nodded, yes. The old patriarch seemed to be as steady as an old dog on the surface, but he was still a little nervous in his heart. After all, he was scared before. When he saw the Han family cultivators coming to him, he subconsciously wanted to lead his people to escape. But now, with this senior in charge, they are not afraid, so why should he be afraid? Senior, we are now, the old patriarch asked tentatively. Let them come. Yi Junlin continued to chew the fruit in his hand, looking at the Han family cultivators pouring in like a tide from the horizon, with a playful smile on his lips. He wanted to get rid of it once and for all and catch a big fish. Seeing this, the old patriarch was relieved. He must be a immortal level figure who can have a friendship with the ancestor, the heaven-swallowing dog venerable. He is not afraid of not being able to fight this group of Han family cultivators. Shouting, screaming, the whole clan was in chaos. Soon, all the members of the Tengu tribe retreated behind the old patriarch, looking at the cultivators in the sky as if they were facing a great enemy. Strange, why don't these bastards run away? Didn't they try their best to escape before? Haha, where can they escape to now? All the routes outside are blocked by us. They might as well wait here to be caught. Makes sense. The Han family monks talked to each other, treating the Tiango tribe members like animals to be slaughtered. These damn guys. Go Ziqing clenched his fists tightly, staring at his dog eyes, his anger burning. Brothers, go, catch them alive. A small leader shouted. Then, a large group of Han family monks took out the immortal ropes, or the cold chains, and approached the tribesmen below with a grin. Xiao Dezi, it's your turn to perform. Yi Junlin signaled. Yes, Kanglang Jun understood his intention and knew that he wanted him to take the lead and lure out the big fish behind. With me here, who dares to act rashly here? A roar as old as a bell resounded between heaven and earth. The fearless Kanglang Jun took a step forward alone and faced the vast sea of Han family cultivators. Afterwards, in the face of countless incredible gazes, a set of golden armor condensed on the body of this white-haired old man, with a lifelike dragon head in the middle of the armor, and the dragon's eyes were shining, mighty and noble. Raising his hand, a majestic sword emerged, the blade flashed with blazing light, and the golden dragon-shaped aura was wandering. The fully armed Kanglang Jun, his aura climbed to the extreme, and every piece of his body, including the golden dragon sword in his hand, exuded the terrifying aura of the best immortal weapon. Anyone who takes a step forward will die. Kanglang Jun pointed with the sword, majestic and domineering, and said cruel words. Roar. As he moved, countless golden dragon chi surrounded his body, and the dragon roar was extremely high-pitched and shocking. The special effects and sound effects were all turned up to the maximum, which frightened all the Han family cultivators for a while. The Han family cultivator was so frightened that he stopped abruptly, his eyeballs almost popped out, and his heart was trembling wildly. Damn it, where did this old man come from? He was wearing all kinds of immortal weapons, and the most frightening thing was that they were all top grade. Just looking at this set of equipment and weapons, who in Zai's immortal realm would dare to look down on him except the immortal emperor? The one who could have such a background must be a peerless immortal. Hiss. The members of the Tengu tribe took a deep breath and looked at the old man in golden armor and holding a sword in shock. So majestic. Go Ziqing was excited, his eyes full of admiration and yearning. With just a roar, he scared all the cultivators in the sky. This scene only appeared in his dreams. Oh my god, that old man is more powerful than I thought. Go Chenny was stunned. The big mushroom king looked strange. From the surface alone, he would indeed be scared. But as an insider who knows the details of Kanglang Jun, King Mushroom naturally knows the tricks. That's right, this set of golden dragon armor and golden dragon sword are all forged fakes. After all, Kanglang Jun is best at forging magic weapons of a higher level than his own realm. He once relied on this unique skill to make money crazily in the ancient Kunlun world and commit crimes everywhere, so that he was called out by everyone and became a major public nuisance. A while ago, with the help of his granddaughter Li Ruotong, Kanglang Jun's cultivation level improved very quickly, and now he is a strong man of the ninth heaven of the immortal emperor. This also led to the increase in the upper limit of his forged magic weapons, which can reach the level of the best immortal weapon. Looking at a group of shocked Han family cultivators and feeling countless admiring eyes, Kanglang Jun's heart was secretly happy, and all the pores on his body were stretched, and it was so happy that his soul was about to leave his body. Before, because I couldn't cheat and do my old business, I had a unique skill but nowhere to display it. Now I finally have the space to display it. I directly arranged a full set of top-grade immortal weapons. Although it consumes a lot of energy, it is very cool. Sure enough, pretending to be cool is fun, Kanglang Jun sighed secretly. Chapter 591. C592 The Angry Young Master of the Imperial Family. Looking at the domineering old man in golden armor, the monks of the Han family were too frightened to act rashly. Because the aura of the top-grade immortal weapon was too powerful, it directly caused them to ignore Lord Kanglang's true cultivation level. They all agreed that this old man who looked like a god of war was the peerless immortal lord second only to the immortal emperor. Such an unparalleled giant must be treated with courtesy even if he is as powerful as the Han family. What's more, are they a small group? Then the question comes, how can the Tengu clan, which has always been oppressed, have the ability to ask such a big boss to protect them? This is unreasonable. Could it be, this old man also likes to eat dog meat? Thinking of this, everyone suddenly felt that this possibility would be even greater. Pretty close. The leader, a middle-aged team leader with immortal emperor-level cultivation, hesitated for a moment and then raised his hands in respect and said, "This old man, we have no intention of offending, please forgive me." Lord Kanglang looked sternly and said with an arrogant face, "It doesn't matter, those who don't know are not guilty. I am not the kind of unreasonable person." Seeing that the deadlock was broken, the monks felt relieved. Seeing the opportunity, the middle-aged team leader said with a respectful attitude, "Old senior, we are here to capture the Tengu clan on the orders of the young master of the Han family in Tianshui. I hope you can make it easier. I will thank you greatly afterwards." I thought that taking out the name of the Han family in Tianshui would make this peerless immortal have some scruples. Unexpectedly, Lord Kanglang sneered, "It's none of my business. I'm going to cover this ethnic group from now on. If any of you dare to touch them, they will be killed without mercy." As he spoke, the sword was raised high to the sky, and the golden light shot straight into the sky. A noble and domineering golden dragon aura surrounded him, and it opened its teeth and claws to make a high-pitched dragon roar, which was shocking. This scene made the monks of the Han family feel numb and their faces look ugly. So domineering. The members of the Tengu clan were excited and looked at Lord Kanglang with admiration. The old patriarch's eyes flashed with extreme shock, and he was convinced by the domineering demeanor displayed by Lord Kanglang. The corner of Yi Junline's mouth twitched a few times, and he said secretly, "I gave you a stage, and you really pretended to be awesome. Your ability to pretend is almost catching up with mine." It has to be said that even Yi Junline admires Kanglangjun's forgery skills. Whether it is aura fluctuations or special effects, he can make the fake look real and look real. Even with his eyesight, he could barely catch a clue. What's more, monks below the immortal emperor level will definitely be stunned. The middle-aged team leader had beads of sweat on his forehead. He suppressed his inner retreat and gritted his teeth. "Old senior, the Tianshui Han family is the current imperial clan. If you don't look at the face of my young master, you must also look at the face of his father. You know, that is a swordsman supreme. He created his own divine sky wind and thunder sword technique, which is extremely powerful. He is called the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor by the world. You must have heard of the name Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor, right?" Hear the words. Lord Kanglang looked shocked. Everyone knows that if you want to proclaim yourself the Sword Emperor, you must first meet a hard condition, which is that you must have a Taoist sword intent. But most monks don't know that there is a second condition that cannot be ignored, and that is to condense a sword heart of their own. He also learned this from his granddaughter. The grades of the sword heart from low to high are Traceless Sword Heart, Heaven-Reaching Sword Heart, Undefeated Sword Heart, Invincible Sword Heart, and the Supreme Eternal Sword Heart. Strictly speaking, a sword cultivator who possesses Taoist sword intent but does not have the ability to concentrate on the sword is not worthy of being called a sword emperor. This point is very strict in the immortal world. Therefore, when he heard that the father of the young master of the Han family was a current sword emperor, it was difficult for Lord Kanglang to remain calm. Observing the change in Kanglang Jun's face, the middle-aged team leader became convinced. A smug smile appeared on his lips and he said meaningfully, "Old senior, since you know everything, please get out of our way. If we are delayed, not only will young Master Han be blamed, but the Fengli Sword Emperor, who has always valued him, will also pursue the matter. Can you bear the consequences?" At the end of the words, the tone was particularly serious, containing a strong warning. The monks of the Han family sneered and suddenly felt confident. They didn't believe that even using the name Fengli Sword Emperor would not make this old guy make concessions. So what if you are a peerless immortal? Facing the powerful Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor in the immortal world today, you are nothing more than an ant. Kanglang Jun was a little frightened at first, but suddenly he realized what he was doing and a surge of anger suddenly arose in his heart. What the hell, what are labor and management afraid of? My granddaughter is a big shot at the immortal emperor level today, and I have the support of Senior Yi behind me. I'm still afraid of you. Are you Harry? Haha, do you think I'm scared? Not to mention the so-called young master of the Han family, even if the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor is here, I dare to chop him alive with a single blow. Lord Kanglang pointed straight at it with his sword in hand, speaking harsh words in a domineering manner. His old voice sounded like angry thunder, and the rumble shook the entire sky, and even the heaven and earth seemed to tremble. What? Hearing such arrogant remarks, the Han family monks were dumbfounded and frightened. Killed Fengling Sword Emperor alive? You old thing, you really dare to say that? At this moment, everyone was completely at a loss. They looked at Lord Kanglang as if they were looking at a crazy old man. Just then, a high-pitched, sullen voice came from the clouds. How dare you? How dare you humiliate my father? Wow, the dark night sky suddenly became as bright as day, and with the holy light falling down, a golden flying chariot surrounded by light rushed out of the clouds, exuding an incomparable noble atmosphere. In front of the chariot, there were two pure-blooded Zyaji pulling it, stepping on the colorful clouds, with eyes shining brightly, and extraordinary power. Above the flying chariot, a young man in brocade clothes with a purple gold feather crown and a proud face stood with his hands behind his back, and a black cloak was draped over his shoulders, rustling. From the posture, it gives people a feeling of being high above. At this moment, the sharp eyes were particularly gloomy, staring at Kanglang Jun, mixed with anger that was difficult to conceal. The top second-generation immortal in Zai's immortal realm, the young master of the Han family, Han Xing. Yes, it's the young master. Many cultivators widened their eyes and said in surprise. The middle-aged leader was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat, and he immediately bowed and said, "Your subordinates are here to see the young master." "We are here to see the young master." The Han family cultivators did not dare to neglect him, and they all bowed and said respectfully, "He is the young master of the Han family." The Tengu clan members were shocked and angry, with deep disgust on their faces. It was because this person loved to eat dog meat that the Tengu clan fell into such a fate. It would be a lie to say that they did not hate him. Behind Han Xing's flying chariot, there followed a group of carefully selected Han family masters, led by 4 top priests, whose aura was as vast as the sea, and they were all at the realm of immortals. The 4 immortal priests all had iron faces and cold eyes, and were divided into 4 directions and distributed around the flying chariot, protecting Han Xing on the flying chariot at all times. It is hard to imagine that the immortals who are usually elusive would be willing to serve as bodyguards, and there are 4 of them. It is enough to see how big the young master of the Han family is, and how much his father, the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor, values him. Han Xing angrily questioned, "Old man, who gave you the courage? How dare you openly shout that you want to chop my father alive?" Thanks to the deduction of a divine calculation element before, he knew the hiding place of the Tengu tribe, so he sent a large number of cultivators to capture them. Because he had nothing to do, he came here to watch a good show and see who dared to be lazy. As a result, Kanglang Jun's arrogant remarks made him so angry that he wanted to vomit blood, so he couldn't sit still and came to ask for punishment. His father was a great man in his mind, and he would never allow him to be humiliated by an old man who didn't know how to live or die. Kanglang Jun was secretly happy. Good, he really caught a big fish. Chapter 592. C593 The Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor. Faced with the questioning, Lord Kanglang showed no panic at all, with a proud look on his face, and said sideways, "Boy, let alone you, even if your father comes over, I dare to chop off his head with a knife. If you don't believe it, just call your dad over and I'll teach him how to be a new man in a minute." His tone was very arrogant, and it could be said that he would never stop talking without shocking others. Because he had something to rely on, Mr. Kanglang became more and more courageous. When he said these words, a sense of pleasure emerged from his heart and spread to the hairs all over his body. He was so happy that he almost screamed out. It feels so good to show off. As long as you keep pretending, you'll always have fun. Ha 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 ha. Everyone was stunned with shock and disbelief on their faces. Is this old man really crazy? As soon as these words came out, "You will definitely not survive tonight. Death and destruction." Han Xing was so angry that his whole body was trembling and his facial muscles were twitching. Then he pointed at Kanglang Jun and roared like a mad lion. "Come on, 4 of you, and cut this old thing into pieces." The 4 top family ministers looked at each other with hesitation. It's not that they want to disobey the order, but the request is too difficult. Although the 4 of them are all in the realm of immortals, their strength is in the second echelon. The magic weapons they can handle are top-grade immortal weapons. Unlike the old man in golden armor, all of them are top-grade immortal weapons. This configuration is full, it is unrealistic to try to chew it down. It's estimated that their full attack wouldn't even be able to break through someone's armor. After all, the gold content of one top-grade immortal treasure is equivalent to the sum of 100,000 top-grade immortal treasures. Anyone who sees this will be frightened. What, do you even want to disobey orders? Han Xing said angrily, his lungs about to explode with anger. Young Master Han, please don't embarrass us. Unless you, the Han family, are willing to give each of us a top-grade immortal weapon, then we can be sure to deal with that old guy. That's right. Besides, our duty is to protect you, not to kill your opponents for you. Please understand. The four top priests reached an agreement that none of them wanted to take this risk. If Lord Kanglang takes action against the young master of the Han family, they will definitely stop him with all their strength out of duty. But the problem is, it doesn't. They were just talking about it and no real harm was done. Moreover, even if they get on board, they will most likely be counterattacked, and the gains outweigh the losses, so why bother? Hear these words. Han Xing froze on the spot, his eyes showing astonishment. He never expected that these four well-paid top ministers would disobey his orders at this juncture and speak so convincingly and with reasonable evidence. You guys. Han Xing felt a dull pain in his chest, and it felt like his heart was going to explode with anger. The Han family monks had strange expressions and very strange eyes. This was the first time that they saw the usually arrogant and domineering young master of the Han family being so embarrassed. Hey, why don't you call your father to come here and die? What kind of bullshit, Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor, has he asked me about the knife in my hand? If he dares to come here, he will be chopped down by me until he kneels down and begs for mercy, ha ha ha. Seeing that the four top worshippers did not dare to take action against him, Lord Kanglang became even more unscrupulous, and his words became more and more unscrupulous. Finally, he let out a devilish laugh, mocking laymen. Feeling the countless strange focused gazes, Han Xing only felt that he had lost all face. His eyes were sinister, mixed with strong resentment. As if he had made a major decision, he took out a black sword talisman and roared. Old guy, you have the nerve to say it again in front of the sword talisman in my hand. The black sword talisman was infused with immortal power, filled with wisps of terrifying aura, and created a strong wave of energy. Kanglang Jun had no scruples and sneered, boy, stop playing tricks and call your father that bastard to come over and die. I want to see what the so-called Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor is. As if his plan had succeeded, Han Xing sneered, and then shouted excitedly at the sword talisman in his hand. Dad, did you hear that? He is scolding you. Your son has suffered a great injustice here, and many people believe me. You must come here in person and make the decision for your son. As soon as these words came out, everyone was scared to death, their expressions were extremely frightened, and an uneasy mood instantly filled the entire place. At this moment, both the Han family monks and the Tengu clan members felt terrified, fearing that the Fengling Sword Emperor would come in person. It is said that that person is very protective of his son and will not allow his son to suffer any injustice outside. This also made Han Xing the most notorious second-generation immortal, who was usually domineering and extremely arrogant. Now, facing his son's complaint and hearing insults to himself, how could a current Sword Emperor tolerate it? You must come here in person. It's over, we're in trouble now. Many Tengu clan members were panicking, holding their heads and trembling. Old guy, you're dead. My dad will be here right away. You won't be able to escape even if you want to. Han Xing said with a ferocious smile on his face. Hey, you're good to go. I'm worried about not having any opponents. Being invincible is so lonely. Lord Kanglang put the sword on his shoulder, shook his head and sighed, as if he had never been defeated since his debut, and often felt lonely because he had no opponents. The more he behaved like this, the angrier Han Xing became and his teeth gritted. Everyone looked surprised and couldn't believe that Lord Kanglang had the courage to challenge the Fengli Sword Emperor. You, an immortal, how dare you? Do you just rely on your equipment? You must know that under the sword of Fengli Sword Emperor, even if you have 100,000 top-grade immortal weapons to protect your body, they are nothing but scrap metal. Senior, the old patriarch began to fidget and raised his sleeves to wipe the sweat from his forehead. So good, why did you offend the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor? According to his idea, it would be great if he could make the young master of the Han family retreat in spite of difficulties. As a result, the situation reached an irreversible point. The old patriarch couldn't help but have a thought flashing through his mind. Is it still too late to run now? Yi Junlin always had the attitude of watching a show, looking calm and calm. He is a person who doesn't like trouble when doing things, so his main goal is to get things done once and for all. Since the Han family is the biggest scourge of the Tengu clan, he must use his absolute strength to make the Han family understand this lesson deeply and not dare to cross it in the future. A thunderous step. At the same time, Yi Junlin was also curious about how powerful the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor was. Time passed by, no one dared to speak, and the atmosphere was extremely tense. Any slight disturbance can stir up the nerves of countless people. Coming, Yi Junlin spit out the core in his mouth and looked at it with slightly narrowed eyes. There was no particularly huge momentum, and no terrifying aura was revealed. Almost without any warning, a plain-dressed, unremarkable middle-aged man with a goatee and a clear face, just like this. The horizon appeared, and then it took one step and arrived in an instant. The air seemed to have stopped flowing, and everyone was shocked. His eyes were as sharp as a peerless sword. The moment he scanned the entire scene, countless monks felt their eyes sting. "Dad, you're finally here," Han Xing said excitedly. Han Chujian came to his son and said coldly, "Tell Dad, who bullied you, Dad makes the decision for you, and what bastard insulted me just now." His tone was very crazy. He is the famous Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor today, powerful in Zai's immortal realm. He has never been so humiliated. The murderous intention brewing along the way has reached its peak. Chapter 593. C594 The Filial Son. As his words fell, a vast sense of oppression enveloped the entire place, and countless people were so frightened that their bodies trembled and their faces looked horrified. "Young master," the faces of the 4 top ministers of the Han family turned pale, and they bowed and saluted quickly. Cold sweat was dripping from their foreheads, and they didn't even dare to take a breath. Han Xing glanced at me with a sneer, "Now that my father is here, you must be afraid, right? You didn't listen to my orders just now." "Oh," Han Chujian's eyes were cold, and his tone was filled with murderous intent. "You 4 enjoy the superior treatment of my Han family, but you dare to disobey your master's orders. What kind of crime should be done?" Under the murderous gaze of a sword emperor, the 4 people felt that their scalps were about to burst, their eyebrows were stinging, and there was faint traces of blood oozing out, and their hearts were extremely horrified. "Master, it's not that we are unwilling, but the target that the young master wants to deal with is beyond our ability to deal with. Besides, we are only responsible for protection, so I hope you will understand clearly." One of the top worshippers bit the bullet and said with difficulty. "Is there such a thing?" Han Chujian raised his eyebrows. These 4 immortal-level powerful men were recruited by him at a considerable expense of family resources, specifically to protect his son. If the 4 of them join forces, they will be extremely powerful. However, this is what he said. "Dad, it's that old guy the first want to deal with. He was the one who scolded you just now." Han Xing pointed at Kanglang Jun in the distance and said excitedly. The veins on Han Chujian's forehead twitched. When he talked about this, he became angry and wanted to crush the scolder to ashes. When he saw the old man in golden armor, Han Chujian was stunned for a moment. This equipment, plus the weapons in his hands, are all top-grade immortal weapons. Wait, something's not right. With Han Chujian's eyesight, he keenly caught something strange. At this moment, Lord Kanglang was so frightened that his hair stood on end, and his whole body felt cold, as if all the secrets in his body had been revealed. Before Fengali's Sword Emperor came, he was still thinking about how he would curse loudly and continue to show off in front of everyone, just to have a good time. But when the Fengali Sword Emperor really came in person, Lord Kanglang couldn't curse. The indescribable sense of oppression made the fear in his body surge like a flood. Every inch of flesh and blood on his body began to sting, as if he had been hit by countless words. Like a sharp sword piercing it. When the words came to my lips, I swallowed them back hard, swallowing hard. The people of the Tengu tribe were as silent as a stone cold, and the fear in their eyes almost overflowed. The old patriarch's hand holding the cane was trembling, his palms were sweaty, and he murmured, "We are finished." Yi Junlin looked at Kanglangjun's fearful look and couldn't help but have the urge to laugh. This is the famous scene where you say something good on the internet, but end up being cheated offline. HMPH, you old man, you have figured out such a strange skill and dare to challenge me with such arrogance, die. After Han Chujian saw the clue, he pointed with an annoyed expression. An extremely terrifying sword energy shatters the void, completely annihilating the target between heaven and earth. Fuck, Lord Kanglang was so frightened that he couldn't move, as if he was frozen by an invisible force. He could only welcome death in despair. Disperse. Suddenly, a clear and clear voice sounded, like the voice of a god, echoing in all directions. Whoosh, that ultimate sword energy instantly turned into nothing. The terrifying pressure disappeared, and Lord Kanglang felt relieved. He felt like he was panting for the rest of his life, with a lingering fear on his expression. It's so scary. Who is it? Han Chujian was shocked. He didn't expect that there was an immortal emperor here. Then, under the incredulous gaze of the old patriarch, Yi Junlin slowly stood up with a playful smile on his lips. Fellow Taoist, did the person who wanted to kill me get my consent? Han Chujian's eyes shone brightly. He saw that the other person had a similar cultivation level to him, and had an inexplicable aura of swordsmanship that was the same as his. This was a resonance that would only arouse after reaching the level of the Sword Emperor. Who are you, Your Excellency? It seems that Han has never seen you in Zai's immortal realm. Han Chujian asked tentatively. Seeing this gap, Lord Kanglang quickly retreated quietly. After all, his mission had been completed and his goal had been achieved. Yi Junlin smiled and said, I am the immortal lord of Shabehan, Yi Junlin. What? Like a stone that stirred up 1,000 waves, everyone present was shocked when they heard this silver-haired young man say his name. The old patriarch's dog eyes were so wide that they were about to explode, and his head was buzzing. He did not expect that this silver-haired young man had such a great origin and was actually the current immortal master of the northern cold immortal realm. You are the Emperor Yi Tian that everyone calls him. The new Lord Yi Tian of the northern Han immortal territory. Han Chujian's eyes changed. In today's immortal world, who doesn't know Emperor Yi Tian? That's the hottest big shot in immortal court recently. Killed more than a dozen foreign immortal emperors in a row, single-handedly suppressed the riot in the Demon Cave, and saved hundreds of millions of people in the northern cold immortal territory. With this record, who in the immortal world would be dissatisfied? Han Chujian was really confused. This Yi immortal master is so good, why did he come to Zai's immortal realm? Zai's immortal realm is not under his control. Xinger, my father is asking you, what is going on and why is this person involved? Han Chujian secretly transmitted the message. He realized that this matter was definitely not that simple. They had deliberately set up a trap to lure him here. Han Xing was frightened and panicked, with a confused look on his face. Dad, I don't know. In fact, he thought of a possibility, but he was not sure. After all, the Tengu clan has always been down and out. How could he ask such a big shot to protect them? Totally unreasonable. Could it be, this Yi Shenju is also a dog meat lover, and he really wants to eat it alone? Seeing his son's appearance, Han Chujian's heart sank, and then he raised his hands to Yi Junlin and said. Immortal Master Yi is here, but Han is far away to welcome you. I wonder what Immortal Yi is talking about here. And why do you allow your subordinates to provoke Han? Please explain clearly. At the end of his words, his tone became a little more serious. As a genuine sword emperor who has been famous for a long time, Han Chujian is confident that he can go anywhere in the immortal world. He is very afraid of Yi Junlin, but that doesn't mean he is afraid. That's why he was polite first and then attacked, asking for an explanation from the other party. Yi Junlin said, I was entrusted by an old friend to take care of the Tengu clan when necessary. However, because of your son's selfish desires, this clan is on the verge of extinction. If I were not here, the Tengu clan would be in trouble tonight. How should you give Yi an explanation? The tone is sonorous and powerful, and every word is precious. Han Xing's face turned pale and his body was trembling slightly. He didn't know that the Tengu clan had such terrifying connections. Han Chujian understood the reason for the matter and cast a look of hatred at his son. I like to eat dog meat all day long. And I insist on eating the best. Look what you have done. Facing his father's reprimand, Han Xing, who had always been spoiled, burst out with anger and said unwillingly, Dad, you said it, you will agree to whatever I want. I just like to eat dog meat, and it must be the best. You are so powerful, why are you afraid of that guy named Yi? Go fight him. Be bold. Han Chujian turned red with anger and roared. Ah! Han Xing was so shocked that he had a splitting headache and bleeding from all his orifices. His eyes looked unbelievable that his father would treat him like this. Han Chujian was really angry, and deep disappointment emerged in his heart. It seems that he is too spoiled to his children, and over time he has developed the appearance of a second-generation ancestor. If one day he offends a powerful enemy, he will die without knowing how, and the whole family will be implicated. Thinking of this, Han Chujian was frightened for a while, and his attitude towards his son quickly changed. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01, container, tabula below article thumbnail, 300 times 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail minus 300 times 250 feet, target underscore type, mix. Chapter 594. C595 The Shocked Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor. Fellow Taoist Han, you have indeed taught a filial son. Yi Junlin said jokingly. Hearing the sarcasm in this, Han Chujian's face was particularly ugly. It's a joke to Master Yi Xian. Han admitted that he was incompetent in raising his son, and will definitely discipline him strictly in the future. As for the Tengu clan, our Han family will never move one more hair. I, Han, will do what I say. The Tengu clan has that person's backing, and since they are already at a disadvantage, taking the initiative to give in is the best result. Dad, why should we admit our mistake? I think this guy named Yi just wants to eat alone. Han Xing's mind was turned hot, and his anger took over his reason, and he roared hysterically. He has relied on his father for a long time and has always been used to being domineering. Even when facing a immortal master-level figure, as long as his father is around, he dares to scream without any regard for the consequences. Because in his understanding, his father has the bottom line for everything. Presumptuous. Yi Junlin looked unhappy and swiped his fingers together in the air. Aha! Han Xing's entire arm flew up and blood flowed profusely. He covered his severed arm with a face full of pain, raised his head and screamed miserably, ah! Shinger. Han Chujian was shocked and angry. Yi Junlin struck too quickly, and he didn't even have time to stop him. He quickly immersed himself in the inspection and found that the wound was eroded by wisps of terrifying sword intent, which even he could not resolve. In this case, his son could only lose one arm forever and become a disabled person with a broken arm. Dad, he cut off one of my hands. Please help me take revenge. Take revenge, Han Xing wailed, covering the bloody cut of his severed arm. Looking at Yi Junlin's eyes, fear was mixed with strong hatred. Everyone was frightened by this sudden scene. The atmosphere was very depressing and tense. In the night sky, the bright moon quietly turned a scarlet color, and suddenly a strong wind blew between the sky and the earth, and the sky was filled with wind and sand. Han Chujian's eyes were bloodshot and his hair was dancing wildly. He stared at Yi Junlin in front of him, gritted his teeth and said, Master Yi, it was my son who was at fault first, but don't you think it was too harsh? Yi Junlin flicked his fingers and sneered, who am I? How dare your son come to slander me? If it weren't for your sake, your son would have lost his head long ago, instead of just breaking off an arm. Understand? Han Chujian's veins were exposed on his forehead, and he said in a cold voice, Master Yi Immortal is right, Han will actually thank you for your noble hand. Yi Junlin seemed to not understand Halai's words, and waved his hands indifferently, you're welcome, it's just a matter of convenience. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying and sharp sword shot straight into the sky, and the vast sky seemed to have a big hole, showing a terrifying scene of endless airflow. Everyone felt their bodies sink, and the blood in their bodies seemed to freeze into ice, freezing to the bone. Their expressions were full of fear. Han Chujian's eyes were as cold as ice for thousands of years, and a 3-foot-long green and blue immortal sword appeared in his hand. The blade was boiling with infinite sword energy, twisting the void along the way. Oh, what does fellow Taoist Han mean by this? Are you trying to show off with me? Yi Junlin smiled playfully. Han Chujian's eyes were gleaming, and he said coldly, Master Yi Xian, you cut off the dog's arm. As his father, I would be a coward if I didn't do anything. Yi Junlin nodded, understood. As he spoke, Han Chujian's sword power had reached its peak. The long sword in his hand began to flip, and billions of blazing thunderbolts burst out from the sword, making the dark night sky as bright as day. Run quickly, don't get involved. Feeling the energy flow rioting around them, all the Han family monks were so frightened that their faces turned pale and they turned around and ran away, fearing that they would be accidentally injured. In an instant, countless monks, birds and beasts dispersed. This is a duel between two superpowers, one is the famous Yi Shenju today, and the other is the long-famous Fengling Sword Emperor. The aftermath of the battle was absolutely devastating to most monks. The next second, the majestic voice was like a bell ringing, echoing across the vast heaven and earth. I have long heard that Lord Yi Xian has great magical powers. Today, I will take this opportunity to boldly ask you for advice. Draw out your sword. Han Chujian did not dare to be careless and watched Yi Junlin's every move. He knew that the other party was also a top sword cultivator, and this was a duel between sword cultivators. Yi Junlin originally wanted to sacrifice the Kengyuan sword, but when he thought that the Kengyuan sword had a crack, he suddenly became embarrassed. In this situation, I always feel a little embarrassed when I take out a defective sword. Can't take it. While thinking, Yi Junlin made a decision. I saw one of his hands behind his back, and the other hand slowly stretched out, and the two fingers merged into a sword, pointing at Han Chujian in the sky. He said with a serious expression, "This is my sword." Everyone's eyes widened, almost thinking they were dazzled. What's the meaning? You didn't even draw your sword, you just used two fingers to deal with it. This is too perfunctory. Han Chujian was stunned at first. He was stunned for more than 10 seconds. His face and muscles were twitching. There were wisps of green smoke coming out of his head. An endless anger arose in his heart, which seemed to spread and burn his whole body. Those eyes were as red as a wild beast. Master Yi, what do you mean by this? Are you deliberately trying to humiliate me? Han Chujian's eyes were about to burst, his chest was heaving violently with anger, and the hand holding the sword was trembling. He is the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor, who proves his truth with swords and advocates breaking all laws with one sword. He is the most lethal among all cultivators. It can be said that if it weren't for the Queen of Qingzhou, he would have been highly recommended to the position of the Immortal Lord of Xi's. However, now he has suffered the greatest humiliation in history. A competition between sword cultivators, but the opponent didn't even take out his sword and planned to perfunctorily deal with him with two fingers. Who can stand this? Yi Junlin said seriously. Don't think too much, I just think that two fingers are enough to deal with you. You. Han Chujian was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He stopped hesitating and stabbed forward with his long sword. In an instant, a 1,000,000-foot-strong wind rose from the ground, and billions of thunders danced like angry dragons, and the rumbling sound of wind and thunder resounded through the vast sky. As expected of the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor, it can be said that the wind and thunder rose with one sword, and the sound echoed beyond the clouds. The old clan leader and the others were so frightened that they felt cold all over, and the sword light reflected in their pupils was blooming wildly. If they couldn't block this sword, they would all be wiped out. Master Yi, can you block Han's sword with just two fingers? Don't be too confident, Han Chujian warned with a grim look. He didn't believe that Yi Junlin would dare to use his fingers to block it, unless he wanted to be a disabled person with a broken arm like his son. The purpose of doing this was to force Yi Junlin to draw his sword and fight him in an upright manner. Haha, how do you know if you don't try? Yi Junlin felt it was a bit challenging, and he also wanted to see where his upper limit was. In a flash, two fingers gathered strength and stabbed straight forward, with the fingertips lingering with unstoppable sword intent, tearing the void. Could this sword intent be? Han Chujian noticed something, and his pupils shrank into needles. Boom boom boom, a vast energy wave spread out, and the void along the way showed a fragmented scene, like a broken mirror. The whole place was dead silent. Everyone looked at it blankly with incredible faces. Han Chujian's sword was stopped, and it was two fingers that stopped it. Yi Junlin sighed, oh, it's still a bit reluctant. Just now, his two fingers actually felt a tingling sensation, as if they were about to crack. Fortunately, they were really blocked. Little did he know. Han Chujian, who was facing him, had already set off a storm in his heart. He stared at Yi Junlin's fingers, the sword intent that kept lingering, as if a devout believer had seen a miracle one day, and said with shock on his face. This is the great perfection of the sword intent of the Tao. Chapter 595. C596 The Invincible Sword Heart shows its true power. As a sword emperor, Han Chujian knows very well what this level of sword intent represents. As we all know, to become a sword emperor, one must first possess the sword intent of the Tao grade. He has practiced hard for many years, and the sword intent of the Tao grade has only reached the state of great success. It is even farther away from perfection, not to mention the legendary great perfection. That is the pinnacle that the sword emperors of all generations dream of, and it is also the sword intent they pursue to the extreme. Han Chujian is no exception. However, he saw the great perfection of the sword intent of the Tao grade on Yi Junlin's fingers. No one knows how shocked Han Chujian's heart is. It is a feeling that hits the soul directly. Goosebumps all over his body appear, and it is difficult to accept this fact. Why did I encounter it? Han Chujian realized that Yi Junlin was not deliberately arrogant, but really had the qualifications to despise him. Master Yi, since you have this ability, I don't have to hide my weakness. Next, I will use the sword technique that I am most proud of in my life. Please teach me. Try to calm the surging emotions in his heart. Han Chujian took a deep breath, and his eyes showed a resolute look. Obviously, Yi Junlin deeply stimulated him, and after the shock, he felt unwilling to admit defeat and wanted to prove himself. he just wanted to see why the other party's achievements in swordsmanship were higher than his. Swish! Han Chujian turned his wrist, and his sword technique was unpredictable. Sword beams carrying the power of wind and thunder swept away, breaking the void with a sizzling sound, and set off waves of energy ripples. Then let's try it. Yi Junline's long silver-white hair fluttered, and his two fingers were like a gust of wind and rain, breaking the moves. The two figures were like light and shadow intertwined, fighting above the 9 heavens. Even so, the aftermath of the sword energy emitted was extremely vast, which was shocking. Han Chujian used the divine sky wind and thunder sword art, one move after another, the sword energy rolled like a huge wave, and the sound of wind and thunder was deafening. His swordsmanship was as swift and agile as the wind, and at the same time possessed the terrifying power of thunder. With the top-grade Immortal Emperor weapon in his hand, there were few opponents in the realm of Immortal Emperor. And Yi Junline could not have lasted that long with only 2 fingers, if it were not for the support of the Tao-grade sword intent of the Great Perfection. Of course, he was the only one in the entire Immortal realm who dared to fight Han Chujian in this way. Chi chi chi. The sharp whistling sound was endless, the sky was thundering, and the gale was strong. Han Chujian looked embarrassed and was extremely dissatisfied with this situation. The divine sky wind and thunder sword art had been performed to the 9th move, and the last 3 moves were still missing, but he still failed to hurt the opponent. This result made him feel unacceptable. Since the sword intent is not as good as others, then compare the sword heart. Until now, Han Chujian has not used his sword heart, because he feels that the victory is not fair, but now, he can no longer hold back. If he loses even this, it will be the biggest shame. Condensing a sword heart is a prerequisite for becoming a sword emperor. The sword heart grades from low to high are traceless sword heart, all-encompassing sword heart, undefeated sword heart, invincible sword heart, and eternal sword heart. Each stage is divided into 1 to 10 levels. Each level of improvement increases the power of swordsmanship by geometric times, and the keenness, insight, and perception will also be correspondingly improved. This is the uniqueness of being a sword emperor, which will be stronger and higher in status than ordinary immortal emperors. Most sword emperors condense a traceless sword heart, because the lower the grade, the easier it is to succeed, and they can also start over on this basis and transform into a higher grade sword heart in the future. Of course, the difficulty is also extremely huge. Basically, the first time you condense a sword heart, if nothing unexpected happens, it will be finalized in this life. Han Chujian condensed an all-encompassing sword heart. The most important thing is that he has upgraded the Tongtian sword heart to the 10th level. Faced with Yi Junline's strength, Han Chujian decided to throw away his worries and use the power of Tongtian sword heart. Boom! The sword energy ripples spread wantonly, and the 2 figures temporarily separated and looked at each other from a distance in the sky. Master Yi, you take my last 3 moves. After 3 moves, if you can still hold on, Han will take the initiative to admit defeat. A grand and majestic cold voice sounded in the sky. Han Chujian held the sword upright in front of him, his eyes were shining, and his whole body had a different sword aura from the past. This aura was very vast, with a kind of unstoppable and sharp meaning that went straight to the sky. Wow! The Tongtian sword force overwhelmed the wilderness, making countless plants and trees bow down. Yi Junline frowned. Why did the other party give him a different feeling in an instant? First move, the sword raises the wind and cloud. Han Chujian's expression was cold, and the long sword in his hand rolled up thousands of feet of strong wind. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be composed of dense sword intent. At this moment, with the blessing of Tongtian sword heart, it has a more destructive aura. Yi Junline put 2 fingers together and urged the immortal killing sword art to resist, but after just one encounter, he felt powerless. That Yi Shenju is still too arrogant. How can he not use the sword to fight against the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor? Countless people shook their heads. Han Chujian saw that Yi Junline was in a disadvantage, and the corners of his mouth curved up. If you can't compare with the sword intent, you can always compare with the sword heart. In this case, if you still don't use the sword, don't blame me for taking advantage of your misfortune and cutting off your arm. After all, you can pretend, but you also have to accept the consequences of failing to pretend. Second move, a sword thunder. Boom! A huge thunderclap exploded in the sky, and countless bright lightning bolts roamed like giant dragons, all gathered on the sword body, and bloomed with a divine brilliance as bright as the sun. Compared with the first move's all-pervasiveness, the second move is more powerful. At this moment, Yi Junline couldn't help but feel his hair stand on end, and felt a sense of crisis in his heart. If he didn't use the Kangyuan sword, he would be stained with blood on the spot. You know, Han Chujian in his current state is a first-line strongman in the realm of the Immortal Emperor. It's really far-fetched for him to deal with it with only 2 fingers. Tongzi, help me see what's wrong with this person, why did his strength increase so much all of a sudden? Yi Junlin asked hurriedly. Ding, report to the host, because he officially used the power of the Tongtian Sword Heart. The Sword Heart grades from low to higher. The system helped Yi Junlin popularize this knowledge. It turns out that my invincible Sword Heart is so advanced, but why is the other party better than me in this regard? Yi Junlin was a little puzzled. Obviously, the invincible Sword Heart he possessed was second only to the Eternal Sword Heart, but in the end, it was not as good as the other person's Sword Heart. Typical gold is not as good as stone. Ding, that's because the host has not fully unlocked the invincible Sword Heart, and its use is still at a very shallow stage. The system explained. How to unlock it? Yi Junlin said. Ding, very simple, feel it with your heart. Closing square bracket. Yi Junlin, what's the situation? Let me feel it with my heart. Tongzi, you are not lying to me. Ding, warm reminder, the so-called invincible Sword Heart. What you want is the feeling of invincibility. The host should know this better than this system. The system added. The feeling of invincibility. Yi Junlin was stunned, and his eyes flashed with reminiscence. At the same time, Han Chujian looked at the silver-haired young man in a daze, thinking that the other party was frightened by the power of his move, and he was proud in his heart. Master Yi, take my move. Boom, a vast thunderbolt sword beam that was enough to overwhelm all living beings, filled with an extremely terrifying aura, slashed straight at the target. Under this sword beam, Yi Junlin looked as small as an ant. Everyone was so scared that their faces turned pale and they trembled all over. Invincible, that's what I want. Suddenly, Yi Junlin's eyes burst into brilliance, and he found a hint of the feeling he wanted in the dark. What is invincible? It means that no matter what happens, you must maintain the belief of invincibility. No one can defeat you, no one can stop you. That is an absolute self-confidence. It can be said to be like self-brainwashing. There is no concept of losing in your mind. If he has a little fear in his heart and doubts himself, it will violate the triggering conditions. Realizing this, Yi Junlin quickly devoted himself to it, and the belief of invincibility was condensed between his eyebrows. Invisibly, the chains wrapped around the invincible Sword Heart broke with a crackling sound, and began to reveal its true power. Buzz! Suddenly, the high-pitched sound of swords echoed throughout the world, as if thousands of swords were ringing together. His eyes were bright, his posture was as straight as a sword, and his whole body suddenly burst out with an invincible sword force, rushing straight into the sky. This magnificent sword force was unmatched, and even the sky trembled. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 596. C597 Two Fingers defeat the Sword Emperor. In the past, Yi Junlin used the invincible Sword Heart to at most increase the power of some sword moves and increase a certain amount of perception. But in fact, this only stayed on the surface of the invincible Sword Heart and did not go deep into the core. To the tip of the iceberg. Now that he has truly mastered the invincible Sword Heart, he can exert its due power. Certainly, Yi Junlin's invincible Sword Heart is currently only at the first level, but the level of the Sword Heart is extremely high, so his starting point is far beyond that of Han Chujian. What kind of sword power is this? In an instant, Han Chujian's scalp was about to explode, and a chill ran up his spine. He could feel that the sky-reaching sword power that he was so proud of was completely reduced to rubbish in front of this sword power. Shit, the huge thunder sword light was stopped, and it was only 2 fingers that stopped it. The second move is pretty powerful, but unfortunately it's still not that interesting. Yi Junlin said with a smile. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, his 2 fingers burst out with sword light that was as bright as divine punishment, and the overwhelming momentum shattered the huge thunder sword light. The world was silent, countless people were stunned. Such a powerful sword move can be resolved with just 2 fingers. Simply incredible. Han Chujian stared blankly at the young figure, his inner emotions unable to be described in words. Could the kendo momentum just now come from the undefeated Sword Heart? Or is it the invincible Sword Heart? After thinking about it, Han Chujian preferred the former. After all, the latter was too terrifying and he didn't dare to think about it. This person's swordsmanship is far superior to mine. In the sword power competition, he lost. In the Sword Heart competition, he lost miserably. The successive heavy blows made Han Chujian's faith waver, and there were faint signs of collapse in his sword's heart. He can accept defeat, but it is difficult to accept such a complete defeat, and it is not of the same magnitude at all. Do I still need this third move? Han Chujian's eyes were gloomy, and the hand holding the sword was trembling slightly. Yi Junlin saw that something was wrong with the other party's state. If he backed down and gave up because of this, he would definitely have inner demons when he went back. From then on, he would never recover, and his swordsmanship would be hindered. After all, the opportunity to officially unlock the invincible sword heart was provided by the other party. Fellow Taoist Han, just draw your sword. No matter what the result is, you still wielded that sword. This is the pride of your sword cultivator. Never throw it away. Hear the words. Han Chujian was stunned for a moment, thinking about these words carefully. His eyes burst into a bright light, and his whole body suddenly became enlightened and he felt relaxed. Yes, regardless of success or failure, he is worthy of himself. Master Yi Xian, Han has learned a lesson. Han Chujian looked away a lot, with a hint of gratitude in his eyes. Even if you lose, you must lose magnanimously. After stabilizing the center of the sword, Han Chujian took a deep breath, and the sword power on his body increased steadily. Boom boom boom, thunder rolls from the sky and strong wind blows. At this time, Han Chujian's eyes were blazing, and the aura of swordsmanship merged with his whole body. There was a feeling that all his sharp edges were restrained, but he was always waiting to explode. The third move, wind and thunder combined with the wall. A loud shout. Han Chujian's hair was flying wildly as he struggled to deliver the last sword. This sword move is the final form of Shen Shao's wind and thunder sword technique. It combines the agility of wind and the domineering power of thunder to achieve the perfect fusion of wind and thunder. Once the sword is released, the wind and thunder are combined, and the power increases exponentially. To put it bluntly, the power of this move is enough to defeat a top-tier expert. Well done. Yi Junlin activated the immortal killing sword art, and with the true blessing of the invincible sword heart, the endless killing energy was as vast as the sea, angrily rushing into the 9th level of the sky. In an instant, the moon was as scarlet as blood, and the dark night sky turned into blood. If it weren't for Yi Junlin's deliberate control, this magnetic field would directly affect creatures thousands of miles around, turning them into bloodthirsty and cruel monsters. Aha! A terrifying bloody sword light shot out from his 2 fingers, colliding with the monstrous sword light carrying the power of wind and thunder. Rumble rumble, rumble rumble, the majestic energy flow raged wildly, turning into 100,000 hurricanes and spreading out. Deep in the sky, a huge hole was torn out. It was dark inside, with countless dark red lightning intertwined, and it was unfathomable. Everyone gasped, their faces full of shock. Even such a stable world as the immortal world was forcibly torn open. Sudden. Countless strange lines appeared in the sky. This huge hole was quickly merging, and it seemed that it had been repaired by some kind of power. This is the way of heaven in the immortal world. When it senses that there is a flaw in the immortal world, it will automatically release a force to heal it. Not a moment, the sky returns to its original state. The moon became much dimmer. A blood-stained figure fell from the sky and fell heavily to the ground, setting off a huge mushroom cloud. When the smoke and dust dissipated, Han Chujian coughed blood and slowly stood up. At this time, he raised his eyes to look at the silver-haired figure in the sky. There was no resentment in his eyes, only deep awe. He lost, and he was so convinced that he lost. Master Yi Xian is really the best swordsman in the world, Han admires him. Han Chujian showed reverence and bowed his hands. The head of the family was defeated like this, the monks of the Han family said in shock. The most unacceptable thing is of course the young master of the Han family, Han Xing. After all, he still expected his father to avenge him, but he was defeated so completely. No matter how arrogant and domineering this second-generation top immortal is, now that his backing is useless, he has lost his greatest confidence and has become submissive. At this moment, Han Xing was holding the bloody amputated arm, his heart was filled with great regret, and he murmured in despair, "It's over, even Dad can't beat him. HMPH, you rebellious son, why are you still doing this in disgrace? Come here, take him back and put him in solitary confinement." Han Chujian turned to look at his son, a flash of anger in his eyes. This incident was all caused by eating dog meat. From now on, he will not only strictly discipline Han Xing, but also ban all eating of dog meat. Yes, the 4 family ministers did not dare to neglect and quickly escorted Han Xing away. Master Yi Xian, Han is injured, so he will go back to recuperate. Farewell. Han Chujian also felt embarrassed, sighed, and resigned. He knew that today's incident would definitely spread throughout the Zai's immortal realm. Unexpectedly, even though he is a majestic Fengli sword emperor, he will also become a stepping stone for others. When Han Chujian thought of the culprit, his teeth itched with hatred, and he wished he could go back quickly, hang up that cheating thing, and beat him. Walk slowly, Yi Junlin said with a smile. He gained a lot from this battle and won a lot. The Tengu clan. The tribesmen were silent, unable to calm down for a long time. The Feng Lei sword emperor, who was famous in Zai's immortal domain, was defeated like this. Go Ziqing was in a daze, feeling as if he was in a dream. He did not expect that the senior he brought back would not only have a great background but also have such terrifying strength. This is the best decision he has ever made in his life. Looking at the silver-haired young man standing in the sky, the old patriarch's eyes were full of awe. He stretched out his hand to stroke his long beard and said with emotion. This Lord Yi Xian is really the Emperor of Defeat, sword with 2 fingers, stepping into the 9 heavens alone. Chapter 597. C598 Yi Junlin, I can't sing. Han Chujian is very strong, and is a master in the field of swordsmanship. He is a top-ranked emperor-level strongman in the immortal world. Unfortunately, he met a more perverted existence. Not only does he have the great perfection of the Dao-level sword intention, but he also has the invincible sword heart as a blessing, and can perform a supreme sword technique at the top of the immortal way. Under this premise, it is not an exaggeration for Yi Junlin to defeat him with only 2 fingers. In the sky, Yi Junlin's figure flashed, and when he appeared again, he had returned to the first seat of the banquet and said loudly. Everyone, after this battle, the Tengu tribe will no longer be disturbed. You are completely safe. This is a brand new beginning. The clear voice was like iron, echoing between heaven and earth, containing a convincing power. The Tengu tribe was silent for a while, and then burst into boiling cheers. Countless young men and women cheered, their faces were filled with joy, their eyes were shining, and they were full of longing for a better future. Many elderly people who have experienced many vicissitudes of life were so excited that they burst into tears. They were deeply touched. They had finally made it through this generation. On behalf of the Tengu clan, I would like to thank Master Yi for his great kindness. The old patriarch was in tears and was about to throw away his crutches and kneel down to pay his respects, but he was held up by an invisible force and could not sink a bit. While he was moved, he admired Yi Junlin even more. Yi Junlin waved his hand and said, no need to do so. Yi is just taking care of you. You will have to walk your own way in the future. Whether it is a blessing or a disaster, you will have to bear it together. Anyway, he had done what he should do. What the Tengu clan will become in the future is the Tengu clan's own business and has nothing to do with him. My Tengu clan will remember Master Yi's teachings. The old patriarch bowed his head and said gratefully. This is a deed that is worthy of being recorded in the history of the Tengu clan, and it is also a major turning point in the fate of the clan. Generations in the future will remember this kindness. Yi Junlin picked up a berry, took a bite, the juice splashed, and he savored the fragrance between his lips and teeth. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The revelry of the banquet continued and soon reached its climax. Men, women, old and young held hands and circled around the campfire, singing the characteristic ballads of the Tengu tribe. Woof woof woof, woof woof woof, woof woof woof. The rhythmic barking of dogs continued to sound from all directions, containing passionate emotions. Seeing this, Yi Junlin looked depressed. What was this singing? All he heard was the barking of dogs. Alas, I can only say that we should respect racial differences. The old patriarch was very excited when he sang. Seeing that Yi Junlin didn't say a word, he quietly came over and said. Master Yi, this song is actually very simple. You can also sing it together. I will teach you the grammar of dog barking. Yi Junlin, which dog eye of yours saw that I was very interested? I helped you so much, but you want to teach me how to bark like a dog. If the old patriarch hadn't looked sincere and spoke in a sincere tone, Yi Junlin would have suspected that the other party was deliberately playing tricks on him. No, you can sing your own songs. Yi Junlin resolutely declined this kindness. Okay, the old patriarch's eyes darkened, and he felt a little regretful. He also wanted to sing the most ambitious and melodious clan song with the famous Yi Shenju on the same stage, and the song was called, Legend of the Heavenly Dog. Since Yi Junlin didn't want to, the old patriarch could only find someone else to sing. That's it, everyone barked until dawn. In the early morning, the bright bonfire went out, and there were wisps of smoke. Under the leadership of the old patriarch, a group of men, women, young and old came to see Yi Junlin and his friends off. Xiaohei, will we meet again? Go Chenny said reluctantly with red eyes. The Great Mushroom King nodded, yes, you are my good friend. I will come back to see you later. Go Chenny burst into laughter, that's good, this is a small gift from me to you, please accept it. In the girl's hand, there was a jade bone, shining with a layer of jade light, and tied with a red rope in the middle, tied into a bow. The Great Mushroom King was stunned and felt very surprised. This was the first time a girl gave him a gift. It was the appearance of this gift, which was a bit unique. But considering the other party's body, the Great Mushroom King was relieved. Little Black Taoist, why don't you accept it quickly? After all, this is a piece of heart from the girl. Kanglang Jun said with a smile. The Great Mushroom King scratched his head, stretched out his hand to take the bone, with an embarrassed expression, thank you, I will keep it well. Well, looking at this simple and honest pot-covered boy, Go Qianyi's eyes flashed a trace of shyness. Go Ziqing noticed his sister's strangeness and sighed in his heart. How could he not know his sister's feelings? But after all, the gap is too big. I just hope that my sister can think more open-mindedly in the future and not be too obsessed with the first love of her youth. Everyone, goodbye. Yi Junlin took the Great Mushroom King and Kanglang Jun and set off for Qingzhou. We respectfully send off the immortal Master Yi. Looking at the back of the departing figure, the old patriarchs shed tears on the scene, and bowed together. The sound they gathered shook the sky and resounded beyond the clouds. These days, the Zai's immortal realm is very uneasy because an astonishing news has spread, which is related to the Han family, which is an imperial family. It is said that Han Chujian, the head of the Han family, fought a fierce battle with the newly appointed Beihan Immortal Lord, and was finally defeated by Beihan Immortal Lord with 2 fingers. He admitted defeat on the spot and felt ashamed of himself. The cultivators couldn't believe it at first. After all, what kind of person is Han Chujian? He is a transcendent existence who has achieved great success in the way of swordsmanship. He is known as the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor. His reputation resounds throughout the immortal world and he is the leader in the minds of all sword cultivators. Such a person, when he went all out, was actually defeated by just 2 fingers. What a joke! Although the one who made the move was Yi Tiandi, who has recently become famous, and the newly appointed Immortal Lord of Beihan Immortal Domain, they still found it hard to accept and felt it was incredible. The matter is of great importance. If it is a rumor, all major forces must investigate it thoroughly. After all, it involves 2 immortal emperors. Unexpectedly, the person involved, Han Chujian, stood up and publicly stated that all this was true. He also said that Yi Shenju only used his finger as a sword to easily defeat him, and he was convinced of his defeat. As soon as this was said, the Zai's immortal realm was in an uproar. Public opinion was raging everywhere, all around this matter. Some bigwigs with the cultivation of immortal emperors were shocked by Han Chujian's testimony. They knew very well how terrifying the strength of this always arrogant Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor was. Among the immortal emperors, it was not an exaggeration to regard him as a top-tier powerhouse. Even so, they were defeated by the Yi Tiandi, and were suppressed by the other party with only 2 fingers. What is this concept? Just thinking about it made their scalps numb, and they had a new understanding of Yi Tiandi's strength. Chapter 598. C599 The Miserable Tianjizi. Beihan Immortal Lord, Yi Tiandi, their strength is so terrifying, no wonder they are valued so much by the immortal court. An immortal emperor muttered to himself in a certain cave paradise. I think that with the character of Fengli Sword Emperor, he would not talk nonsense about such things. So, Yi Tiandi is the leader of the sword in the world. Hiss, it is very likely. After being shocked, many cultivators were puzzled as to why Yi Shenju appeared in Zai's immortal domain. Did he deliberately come to Fengli Sword Emperor to learn from him? Soon, everything was revealed. It turned out that the cause of the incident came from the young master of the Han family who loved to eat Tiango meat. Yi Shenju came in person to support the Tiango clan. During the process, Han Xiaoju spoke rudely to Yi Shenju and had one arm cut off. His father Han Chu was so angry that he couldn't stand it, which triggered the subsequent battle, and finally ended with the Fengli Sword Emperor's tragic defeat. After learning the cause and effect, all the cultivators applauded, and at the same time, they were horrified by the connections of the Tengu clan. Who would have thought that the tribe that had been oppressed for years and treated as a delicacy had such a huge background? And the young master of the Han family happened to hit a wall. All forces instantly restrained themselves and dared not target the Tengu clan anymore. They even told their subordinates to avoid the Tengu clan in the future. According to gossip from the Han family, since this incident, the young master Han Xing has started to live a miserable life. he was beaten at least 3 times a day. He was either practicing sword or preparing to practice sword, which was completely contrary to his previous life of debauchery. Obviously, his father Han Chujian was serious and did not show any mercy to this second-generation ancestor. Just when this incident was being talked about by everyone after dinner, a group of cultivators wearing Han family costumes whizzed over a street with flying swords under their feet. In the alley next to it, a man in a blue robe with a slightly wretched appearance, wearing a Taoist scarf and shifty eyes, cautiously poked his head out and looked around. Looking at the back of the Han family cultivator leaving, the blue-robed man's eyes revealed grief and anger, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Goddess of Wuliangte, this is too unjust. Not only did your Han family not pay the final payment, but you also sent someone to settle the account with me." If Yi Junlin was present, he would definitely recognize at a glance that this person was the fortune-teller Tianjizi who said he had a bloody disaster. At this time, Tianjizi's heart was so aggrieved. Because he had once done a trick in Beihan Immortal Realm, that is, he dressed up as Yi Tiandi to set up a stall to tell fortunes, and since then he has been hated by countless cultivators and put on the blacklist. Because of this black history, and the fact that Yi Tiandi took the position of Beihan Immortal Lord and enjoyed extremely high prestige and influence in Beihan Immortal Realm, the panicked Tianjizi dared not stay in the old place anymore. After much thought, he decided to leave his hometown and go to other Immortaland to seek a bright future. Inspired by his faith, Tianjizi came to Zai's Immortaland in a dusty manner, because no one here had seen him, and he could start over. At the beginning, he encountered obstacles everywhere, until he took a few orders, and then there were signs of improvement. Later, after his unremitting efforts, the name of the god of operation spread in the local area. Until one day, he was introduced to Han Xing, the young master of the Han family. Tianjizi was so excited. During that time, he learned about the information of the major forces in Zai's Immortaland and knew that the Han family was the imperial family of the time, covering the sky with one hand. And this young master Han Xing, his father is the famous Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor, so he is a second-generation immortal with a huge background. When he thought of this identity, he must be rich, and Tianjizi was so excited. Then, the other party asked him to calculate where the hiding place of the Tengu tribe is now. If he can find it, there will be a great reward afterwards. Tianjizi was very excited. If he succeeded, he would not only get a large bounty, but also soar to the sky and make a name for himself in the entire Zai's immortal realm. By then, the revival of Tianjiman will be just around the corner. With this in mind, Tianjizi relied on the dog bones that Han Xing had gnawed clean, spent a lot of effort to deduce, and stayed indoors for 3 consecutive months before finally determining the hiding place of the Tiango clan. When he told Han Xing about this location, Han Xing was skeptical and sent a large group of cultivators to the destination. Tianjizi was still very confident. After all, this was the result of his painstaking deduction, and there could be no mistakes. As for the safety of the Tiango clan, Tianjizi was helpless. After all, he also wanted to become famous in one battle. As the saying goes, a general's success is the result of the sacrifice of thousands of bones. For a bright future, Tianjizi did not think he was wrong, but his personal position was different. However, when the news came, Tianjizi was stunned on the spot. Although he had successfully deduced, it was completely opposite to his expectations. Because of this incident, the Han family became a laughingstock in the outside world, and Han Xing was regarded as the culprit and was hung up and beaten by his father. Tianjizi saw that things were not going well and left Tianshui city overnight. Soon, the Han family's top leaders followed the clues and thought that he was the initiator, so they secretly sent a group of masters to catch him and settle the score. Tianjizi's mentality collapsed. "No, you can blame me for this. I really vomited." Tianjizi had no choice but to start a life of escape, fearing that he would be caught by the Han family to vent their anger and tortured in every way. In the alley, Tianjizi wanted to cry but had no tears, and felt that his future was bleak. He was in the northern cold immortal territory, and he escaped here because of Emperor Yi Tian. He thought he would be able to usher in the spring of his career, but because of Emperor Yi Tian, he was knocked back to his original shape overnight and fell to the bottom. As a super wealthy family, the Han family has huge influence. If he wants to develop here in the future, it will definitely be difficult. Therefore, we can only continue to escape and go to other immortal lands to make a living. Oh my god, my earth, why am I so unlucky? Tianjizi's sad cry came from the alley. At the same time, Yi Junlin still doesn't know that the guy who told his fortune before had his nascent career wiped out because of him and is now hiding from his enemies. The Tengu clan incident was just a minor incident to him. Now, his primary purpose is to go to the land of Qingqiu to retrieve his disciple Bai Shaoxi, and to see what the Qingqiu Empress intentions are. The land of Qingqiu does not belong to any large area. It is a geographical location similar to the Taihang Forbidden Mountain. But in terms of area, it is much larger than Taihang Forbidden Mountain. Since migrating to the immortal world, the Tianyu tribe has lived here for generations. There are 3 major tribes in total, divided into 18 countries. Until a proud girl named Su Yingwo was born. With the pure blood of the 9-tailed fox, she rose all the way up, defeated all competitors, swept across the world, and became the immortal emperor. Then, she launched a unification war to integrate 18 countries into an empire, ending Qingqiu's perennial divisions. She proclaimed herself the Empress of Qingqiu and was worshipped by countless tribesmen. Under her leadership, Qingqiu land prospered and became a demon clan force second only to the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan. Unexpectedly, she would eventually become the immortal master of Nishizawa. From then on, she held a position of high authority and great glory, and was rated as the most influential female cultivator in the immortal world. Senior Yi, according to the map, the rumored Qingqiu is ahead. Lord Kanglang said excitedly, pointing to the endless mountains ahead. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes slightly. Let's go. He wanted to see what the Empress Qingqiu meant. Chapter 599. C600 Qingqiu Kingdom. The land of Qingqiu, hidden from the hustle and bustle, is home to all the creatures of the Sky Fox clan in the immortal world. Under normal circumstances, members of the Tianyu clan will not go out. Even if the disciples of a prominent family want to go out for training, they must obtain approval from the upper echelons of the Qingqiu kingdom. Those who go out without authorization will either never come back, or they will be severely punished once they come back. Therefore, in the eyes of the majority of monks in the immortal world, the Sky Fox clan is very mysterious, and their active figures are rarely seen outside. After passing through a dense primitive jungle, Yi Junlin and the others came to what seemed to be the entrance of Qingqiu country. Within the field of vision, there is a tall, simple arch, with a stone statue of a fox on both sides. The fox's eyes are half squinted, and combined with the quiet mountain environment, it feels inexplicably strange. It was rumored that there was a unified country called Qingqiu country located in the land of Qingqiu, but he didn't see Qingqiu country at all now. He only saw this arch, and inside the arch was a relatively desolate mountain wilderness. That's not right. According to the signs on the map, Qingqiu country is right here. Why is there not a single fox fur around it? Did those foxes move? Lord Kanglang looked puzzled, and unleashed a frenzied sweep of his consciousness. He found that there were mountains and ridges for tens of thousands of miles around, and not a single sky fox appeared. This time he couldn't help but doubt the authenticity of the map in his hand. At this time, Yi Junlin stood in front of the arch and looked at it carefully. After a moment, a glint flashed in his eyes. I see. With his eyesight as a formation saint, he could tell at a glance that this was a space barrier. The arch is a passage leading to the real Qingqiu kingdom. The premise is that it must be activated, otherwise entering through this arch will only lead to the vast mountains. I have to say that the Qingqiu Empress methods are quite clever. Yi Junlin, who knew the secrets well, made a secret with his right hand and pointed forward. Suddenly, a buzzing sound sounded, and a magical passage appeared in the arch, like a door to time and space. At the same time, the stone fox statues on both sides were shaking violently, and their half-closed eyes suddenly widened, flashing with blood. They seemed to have come alive, leaning forward in an aggressive posture, with several fox tails raised high, and they released Immortal King-level energy fluctuations all over their bodies, saying coldly, "Human race, you cannot trespass into Qingqiu country, otherwise you will be responsible for the consequences." The tone contained a strong warning. These 2 Sky Fox guards are not real bodies, but are similar to puppets, which can be controlled remotely as long as they are activated. Yi Junlin said, "Haha, it was your king who personally invited me here." As he spoke, a surge of imperial power spread. The 2 Sky Fox guards suddenly trembled. They lost their ferocity and said with lowered eyebrows and lowered eyes, "It turns out to be the Immortal Emperor. Please tell me your name. I'd like to inform you. If it was the Immortal Emperor, that would be a different matter. Moreover, it is also related to the current master of the country. They have to report it to confirm whether what the other party said is true." Beihan Immortal Master, Yi Junlin. Yi Junlin said. "Yi, Immortal Master Yi." The eyes of the 2 Sky Fox guards changed. This is a big shot who has become famous in the immortal world recently. It is not at the same level as those ordinary immortal emperors who came to visit in the past. Please wait a moment. After a few breaths, The two Sky Fox guards said respectfully, Master Yi Xian, the king has invited me. Please forgive me for the delay just now. Let's go. Yi Junlin walked into the passage with a calm expression. Quick, keep up, Lord Kanglang urged, pulling King Mushroom behind him. The channel is closed. The arch returned to its original shape and became unremarkable, while the stone fox statues on both sides also became quiet and motionless. Other side, Yi Junlin and the others officially entered Qingzhou. What comes into view are the vast mountains and rivers full of vitality, the vast snow-white clouds, and the gurgling immortal springs, forming a beautiful picture of green water and green mountains. A large group of Sky Fox men have been waiting here for a long time. They are wearing gorgeous armor, handsome faces, heads held high, extraordinary temperament, and a sense of iron and blood in their bodies. Obviously, this is the military department of Qingzhou Kingdom. Come on, Qingzhou Grand Marshal Su Meng, meet Lord Yi. The leader was a tall man from the Tianyu clan with a hideous scar on his face. He looked like he was not a good person at first glance, but at this moment, he held his fists and bowed to Yi Junlin with a respectful attitude. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered. Oh, it seems that Immortal Master Su has already made arrangements. He was a little surprised that Su Meng's cultivation was at the third level of the Immortal Emperor, which was enough to show that Qingzhou country was strong. That's natural. Our king has been waiting for you for a long time. Su Meng said respectfully. In that case, then take us there. Please. Later, Yi Junlin and the other three got on a luxurious royal chariot. To their surprise, the front of the chariot was pulled by a dragon and a phoenix. The dragon and phoenix paved the way, which can be said to be full of force. Even the young master of the Han family's travel car would be reduced to rubbish compared to this one. Perhaps seeing Yi Junlin's surprise, Su Meng, who was escorting him beside him, smiled and said, This dragon and phoenix are both sinners of the dragon and phoenix clans. After they made big mistakes in their clans, our king found out about it, so he spent a sum of immortal crystals to exchange them. From now on, he will serve me Qingzhou forever and ever. Serve the country. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. He didn't think that he could exchange this dragon and phoenix with money. After all, the dragon and phoenix tribes had extremely high status. How could they be willing to let their tribesmen pull carts for other demon tribes? Even if you make a big mistake, you have to worry about the face of the clan. You would rather kill them than embarrass them outside. But the Qingzhou Empress did it, and she could exchange these two dragons and phoenixes with noble blood with just a stroke of immortal crystal. Buying it with money is fake, selling it to save face is real. In other words, even people as powerful as the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan did not dare to offend the Qingzhou Empress, and could only make deals according to the other party's wishes. Thinking of this, Yi Junlin had a more intuitive understanding of the intimidating power of the Qingzhou Empress. Aha! A dragon and a phoenix pulled the royal chariot, roaring through the sky, dragging a bright rainbow and scattering thousands of stars. Su Meng led the army of the Ministry of War and escorted the surroundings, looking very majestic and majestic. As he continued to deepen, Yi Junlin also saw the prosperous scene of Qingzhou country. The streets are wide and crisscrossed, with shops lined up in rows, shouting and selling constantly, and it looks very lively. The men of the Tianyu tribe are all born with good skin, and almost none of them is ugly. They have regular facial features and a dignified appearance, while the women have slim figures, white and delicate skin, and mostly charming looks, which is in line with what the public often says, vixen image. Wherever the dragon and phoenix chariot goes, it will cause a sensation everywhere. Countless men and women from the Sky Fox clan were amazed and looked at the silver-haired figure on the chariot in shock. This is rumored to be the highest standard welcome carriage in Qingzhou country. It is said that it will only be used to entertain the most distinguished guests. Oh my god, this is the first time I've seen him so far. What is the identity of the human on the chariot that deserves such grand treatment from the king? Not even the immortal emperor who visited Qingzhou kingdom before has ever had this honor. There was a lot of discussion everywhere. In the past, whenever immortal emperor-level figures visited the Qingzhou kingdom, they would be led by the Grand Marshal Su Meng, but this was the first time that a dragon and phoenix chariot was used in so many years. Let Immortal Master Yi see the joke. Su Meng said with a sneer. Yi Junlin said, it doesn't matter. Hearing the discussion, a strange color flashed in his eyes. It can be seen, the Qingzhou Empress attached great importance to him and had no ill intentions. But what the real situation is, you have to meet in person to know. Soon, the dragon and phoenix chariots drove all the way and arrived at the imperial capital of Qingzhou Kingdom. The scale of the imperial capital is extremely large, and it is a completely different world from the outside. Looking around, there are all palaces and towers between the high mountains and ridges. The palaces are well proportioned, the clouds are steaming, and the immortal spirit is soaring to the sky. The entire imperial capital building is panoramic, resplendent and magnificent, showing its grandeur and nobility. Look, many noble disciples looked up, their faces full of shock. The dignitaries in the imperial capital were all alarmed, watching the dragon and phoenix chariot pierce the sky, and under the protection of the Ministry of War troops, headed for the palace in a mighty manner. Everyone, do you know who the king is hosting this time? I have inside information. It is said that the receptionist is the current Northern Han Immortal Master. What? It turned out to be the rumored Emperor Yi Tian, so with this battle, everything makes sense. For a moment, the top brass of Qingzhou Kingdom were shocked by Yi Junline's arrival as if there was a big earthquake. Under countless odd gazes, the dragon and phoenix chariot landed on the highest mountain peak. This is the Emperor's Peak, the residence of the Queen of Qingzhou. Master Yi Xian, the king is waiting inside, we will leave first. Afterwards, Su Meng quickly left with his army, leaving Yi Junline and the others behind at the Emperor's Peak. Emperor New Peak has a vast sea of flowers, towering ancient trees and lush green leaves. Yi Junline narrowed his eyes slightly. He found that his immortal emperor-level consciousness was unable to fully cover the Emperor's Peak. It seemed that there was some kind of miraculous power that was blocking the exploration of his consciousness and making it difficult to penetrate. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the sign-in, and you will be rewarded with the delusion-breaking golden eyes. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, a system prompt sounded in my mind. Yi Junline remained unmoved, his attention still focused on the scenery in front of him. Senior Yi, did the Queen of Qingzhou ask us to come here and leave us here to hang out? Lord Kanglang said with some dissatisfaction. Sudden. A petite, familiar figure walked out of the forest. She has a pair of white fluffy mouse ears, short shoulder-length silvery white hair, and big, clear and bright jewel-like eyes. She is wearing a pink short skirt and has a cute and childish face. She waves to Yi Junline and the others, charmingly and naively. Road. Master, Shushu is here. Chapter 600, C601 True and False. Shaoxi, Yi Junline smiled. Sister Bai, the great mushroom king waved his hands happily. Immortal Bai, how are you? Kanglang Jun stroked his beard with a smile. After all, in this team, Bai Shaoxi is the one who is responsible for cooking, and his ability is at most an assistant. Come here, come here. Bai Shaoxi waved and walked into the forest. Master, Sister Bai asked us to go over. The great mushroom king couldn't wait to say. Let's go and take a look. Seeing that his apprentice was safe and sound, Yi Junline's heart was relieved. The group entered the forest. The surroundings were full of spring colors and the scenery was picturesque. Come here, come here. Bai Shaoxi kept running inside, waving to Yi Junline and the others, looking very lively. Sister Bai, where are you taking us? The great mushroom king looked a little puzzled. Suddenly, a white mist emerged in front of them, and Bai Shaoxi's figure loomed. A childish voice full of innocence kept ringing, urging them, come on. Come here. As they walked along, the great mushroom king became more and more puzzled, and couldn't help asking, Sister Bai, where are you taking us? Come here, Shushu is waiting for you here. Strangely, Bai Shaoxi didn't respond directly, but kept urging them to go over. Shaoxi, stop, Yi Junline said in a deep voice. As soon as these words came out, Bai Shaoxi didn't mean to stop, which made Yi Junline frown. Although the aura of Bai Shaoxi was exactly the same as he was familiar with, this abnormal behavior made him feel a little wrong. Everyone tried to pass through the vast white mist. What came into view was a steaming hot spring. Silver bell-like laughter rang everywhere, full of joy. In the hot spring, there are many naked girls of the Sky Fox clan playing in the water. They have a pair of fox ears, long hair like a waterfall, snow-white skin that shines like jade, and soft faces and sparkling eyes. This is, King Mushroom had never seen such a scene before and was stunned. Immortal Bai is too polite. She gave us benefits as soon as we met. Kanglang Jun swallowed his saliva and stared. He felt his nostrils getting hot and felt like he was about to bleed. Where is Shaoxi? Yi Junline forced himself to calm down and narrowed his eyes. Look, there are men. The many fox girls in the hot spring not only did not feel shy, but their eyes were shining. One by one, they jumped out of the water and rushed towards the three figures. All kinds of spring colors are in full view, which can be said to be a feast for the eyes. Who can resist this? At this moment, a group of graceful fox girls surrounded Yi Junlin and the other two, vying to throw themselves into his arms. This old man is mine. Don't fight with me, little brother, sister wants to play a game with you. What a handsome young man, come and play with us. The atmosphere on the scene began to become tense. A pair of soft and boneless jade hands wandered around, and Kanglang Jun felt his body numb, almost falling into this gentle land. Fairies, you are really too enthusiastic, but it's a pity that I am old. Don't do this. The big mushroom king didn't dare to open his eyes, and closed his eyes tightly. His arms were grabbed by several fox girls. Feeling the amazing elasticity of his arms, he couldn't help but gasp. Yi Junlin was able to keep his mind steady. After all, he was a player who had experienced the hell-level copy of Tianvi Kingdom. He could still control himself when dealing with this group of charming fox girls. Facing the fox girls who were acting more and more excessively, Yi Junlin shouted coldly. All of you, get out of here. The fox girls were frightened and quickly retreated, their faces terrified. At this moment, Bai Xiaoxi walked out of the crowd. Master, these are Shushu's good friends, can you not be so fierce? The silver-haired little Lolita's big eyes were filled with tears, and she took Yi Junlin's hand and said pitifully. Yi Junlin's expression remained unchanged, and his tone was cold, are you Xiaoxi? Bai Xiaoxi was stunned in place, her beautiful eyes revealed a puzzled look. Master, Shushu is of course Xiaoxi, why do you ask this? I told you to stop before, but you didn't do it. The real Xiaoxi would not be like this. While speaking, Yi Junlin's eyes flashed, and his golden eyes were blazing, sacred and incomparable. Breaking delusion golden pupils. Master, Shushu is really Xiaoxi, really? Before Bai Xiaoxi finished her words, she was grabbed by the neck by a hand and lifted up. Yi Junlin's golden eyes stared at the painful little silver-haired loli, his expression was cold, and he said word by word. You, not, is, Master. Bai Xiaoxi's expression was very uncomfortable, and a line of crystal tears slid down her cheeks, which made people pity her. Yi, Senior Yi, is there any misunderstanding? Kanglang Jun was shocked and said with a stiff face. Senior Sister Bai, the great mushroom king didn't know what to do. He could sense the other party's breath, which was exactly the same as the familiar Senior Sister Bai in his impression, but the master held a negative attitude, so he could only worry. Yi Junlin took a deep breath and sneered. Master Su, your trick should be over. As he said, he exerted force on his palm, and Bai Xiaoxi exploded into smoke, leaving only a white fox hair floating down. Then he stomped his right foot hard, and a golden ripple spread out like waves. All the naked, graceful fox girls around him disappeared in an instant with a scream. All the hot springs, big and small, disappeared into the air. The misty white fog dissipated, revealing the real scene. At this time, they were in a gorgeous cherry tree. As the breeze gently blew, countless pink petals flew, exuding a rich and refreshing fragrance. The picture was very beautiful. Master, a familiar voice sounded. In the cherry tree forest, Bai Xiaoxi ran over with a look of surprise, with an innocent smile on her face. Sister Bai, you are here. The big mushroom king said happily. Haha, I'm glad you're okay. Kanglang Jun wiped the nosebleed that had just flowed out and showed a kind smile. As a result, Yi Junlin just raised his hand expressionlessly, aimed at the running Bai Xiaoxi, and suddenly clenched his palm in the air. Bang! Bai Xiaoxi exploded into a ball of smoke, and a snow-white and crystal fox hair turned a few circles in the air, and finally floated to the ground. Again, it's fake again. King Mushroom and Lord Kanglang were dumbfounded. Yi Junlin's eyes were golden and he said coldly, Master Su, there is no need to use the same trick for the second time. My patience is limited. Little did they know that under the golden pupils, all disguises were exposed, including the so-called illusions. Hualala, the rows of cherry trees in front moved to both sides, leaving a wide path. At the end of the road, a woman in palace dress sat cross-legged under the cherry tree, with soft silver hair like a waterfall, a pair of furry white fox ears, a standard melon seed face, a high nose, and red lips that were charming and tempting. Her waist was straight, highlighting her thin waist that was less than a hand's width, and her magnificent mind. In short, the ratio of waist to hip was amazing. No matter from which direction you look at it, it is perfect and impeccable. Behind her buttocks, there are 9 fox tails swinging, like a peacock spreading its tail, with a strong visual impact. It is worth mentioning that this person has the gentleness common among women of the Sky Fox clan, and also has a powerful aura that dominates the world. She is the queen of Qingzhou, Su Yingwo. She is also the immortal lord of Zai's immortal realm. Window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target underscore type. Mix.